Hi, I'm Chris Haroun, and this MBA degree program is not what you think it is. It's better. This program is more than 25 years of business experience, all rolled into one easy-to-access online program. I've sold over 1 million courses in every single country. I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I have an MBA from Columbia University, and I've worked in the venture capital, hedge fund, and consulting industries. I've also started many companies, and my courses have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and NBC. If you're ready to nail your next interview, get a better job, get a raise, start that business you've always dreamt of, improve the one you currently run, or better manage your personal finances, then this MBA degree program is for you. I can't begin to tell you how comprehensive this program is. It's got everything, including more than 300 hours of on-demand video. I would have to do one of those dramatic opening title crawls from a certain space movie just to show you. And check out all the amazing reviews from students who have already enrolled in this MBA degree program. This on-demand version of the program is only $499, and it's more up to date than many of these old-fashioned MBA programs, which cost you well over $100,000. Not to mention, they don't even teach you the practical concepts included in my program. Last but not least, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And because you can access this program from any device, meaning a desktop computer, or a laptop computer, or a tablet, or even your smartphone, it means you can comfortably fit it into your schedule. Even if you work full-time, it's no problem. So if you're ready to unlock the key to your potential, then I'll see you in class. Good morning and welcome to our 87th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, that's my alarm, by the way. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is this is an AMA, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, personal questions, career questions, and the call never ends until I've answered every single question. So without further ado, let's begin and thank you. Oh, one more thing. I answer the questions in the order in which I receive them. So if I don't answer your question or if I don't answer it properly, just ask it again because I want to humbly help if I possibly can. And thank you all for your patience this morning. When I was getting ready, right before the call started, I threw up the splash screen and then my ringtone went off, which was right by the mic, which was on. Whoops, sorry about that. But my ringtone was, it's Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. And the reason why my ringtone is that, my alarm as well, usually, most alarms, is because it motivates me. And the song by Imagine Dragons called Radioactive, there's one line from it, which is the chorus, which is Welcome to the New Age. And I heard it at a Tony Robbins event. And I kind of thought of that as being Welcome to the New You or Chris 2.0. And so I recommend that all of you also get a ringtone on your Android handset or on your iPhone, something to motivate you every time an alarm goes off or you get a phone call, that sort of thing. So anyway, whatever it takes to motivate us, right? Okay, great. So I included the trailer to my new MBA degree program at the beginning of today's webcast. And so we actually launched it on April 15th, the on-demand version. And if you're curious about it, go to HaroonEducation.com. And then when you're there, you can click here to enroll today. There's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And so you can read all of the student reviews here. A lot of these are my wonderful students I have right now in my MBA class. And there's a couple versions of the MBA. And so this version here is the on-demand version. Okay, it's called the silver version. It's $499. Then there's the gold version, which means it's not on demand. You join me next December, and it takes a year. And in the gold version, I answer questions for all my students over hundreds of hours. Then there's the platinum version, which is the highest tier, in which I do one-on-one meetings as well, a lot of them. So if you're interested in this, go to my website, HaroonEducation.com, and check this out. And there's also an FAQ here as well. If you navigate down there, you'll find it. Okay. Without further ado, let's get started. And thank you as always. All right. The first question is from Edwin. Edwin is saying, "Hello, Chris. I run a billboard advertising company in Liberia. How can I enlarge my company to cover at least the West Africa portion of the continent for now? I'm already standing in Liberia." Yeah. So it's a very CapEx intensive business when you're talking about outdoor billboards. There's a company named Lamar, ticker LAMR. And what they do is they also do outdoor advertising here in the United States. And for many years, people thought this wasn't a great business because it was very, very competitive with cutthroat margins. And some investors started to get excited about Lamar because Lamar is starting to actually do outdoor digital television-based billboards, kind of like what you saw in the first Blade Runner back in 1980 with Harrison Ford. Remember the big Coca-Cola commercials that are animated? And so a lot of long-term investors are excited about that. Now, because it is quite CapEx intensive, I recommend that you raise money from either a high net worth individual or a venture capital firm. And if you want to learn how to raise money and how to network better than anybody, I've got a free book for you. And I'm humbled to say, I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career. But if you go to my website, Haroon Education, and if you scroll down, you'll see here my latest book on networking. It's over 200 pages with several hours of links to YouTube videos that I've created, and also a very special Steve Jobs interview video, which I recently licensed. So check that out if you get a chance. I really think it'll help you a lot because in business, relationships are more important than product knowledge. And as you create your business plan, and you can always take my complete business plan course or join me in my MBA degree program. But as you create your business plan, I want you to model not just traditional billboards in certain markets, but I want you to also model the futuristic ones 10, 15 years down the road, meaning the digital ones. And the cost of LCD screens and displays are coming down materially to the extent that, according to a McKinsey consulting study, every component in this thing, as well as in your computer, in your monitors, et cetera, your television at home, every component drops by 0.6% in price every single week. And that means that eventually it'll be incredibly profitable to replace a lot of those paper-based old school billboards by the highways with digital ones. And so as you build out your financial model, around year 10 or year 15 or so, I want you to incorporate the fact that the cost per component will come down dramatically for outdoor billboards. Last thing I'll say about this is that it is very CapEx intensive, and I'd love for you to be able to get high net worth investors or venture capital firms interested in investing. You always want to use, if you don't have a lot of money yourself, and even if you do, it doesn't matter. I always want you to use OPM, not the drug, but OPM stands for other people's money. Do not ever get a loan though, please, because banks are chicken, and if you pay back your loan literally a day or two late and you can't make that payment, they can literally seize your house and all your personal assets. And make sure you register your company. Talk to a lawyer, please, because we don't want you to get a loan. And if you do, you don't want the bank to come after you. I prefer you to get equity investors only. And if you have additional questions about this, as always, please let me know, and thank you. All right. Next question is, and let me just do a sound check. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Next question is from Edwin, who's saying, I got my first degree in accounting from the University of Liberia, and I'm seeking an MBA in public speaking. Is that possible? I got a diploma in graphic design, designing in Photoshop and Corel Draw. Oh, I miss Corel. I remember Michael Copeland, very wealthy Canadian, started that company in Ottawa. Yeah, along with after he broke up with Terry Matthews with Newbridge. I remember that. Yeah. So I think I don't know of an MBA in public speaking per se, but you can take my MBA degree program if you want. There's a 30-day 100% money back guarantee. No other MBA degree has that. The silver SKU of it, which means there's a low-end version, silver, gold, platinum. The silver version is $499, which is the same cost as literally 1 hour of an expense for going to a traditional business school. It's true. It's the equivalent of 1 hour. I had my team run the numbers, including rent for an apartment, lost salary, tuition, books, all that stuff. Plus, you don't get your money back guarantee. So I would check out my MBA degree program if you get a chance, because I do teach you up-to-date stuff like social media. And traditional MBA schools are so old school that they teach you old school stuff like supply and demand graphs and stuff you'll never, ever use. And so I really do believe that Harvard Business School, or HBS, 2/3 of HBS is BS. That doesn't apply to Haroon Business School, okay? Only Harvard Business School. Yeah. So anyway, check out my MBA degree program or my courses on Udemy. And if you have additional questions, let me know, and thank you. And business schools don't teach you the most important concepts in business. You know, how to present from your heart, you know, how to sell. Being a great salesperson is the most important skill in business. And they don't teach you that in business school. They also don't teach you how to manage your own money. They teach you how to manage other people's money. And they don't teach you how to start a company. They don't. So a lot of people graduate from business school and you ask them, okay, do you know how to start a company now? No. They learn a lot of BS theory. You know, I pride myself humbly on teaching based on my successes in business and my failures. But I pride myself humbly on teaching you only stuff that you would use in the real world so you can get up and running immediately and start your own company. And as always, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee with my degree programs and all my courses. And Manoj is saying, hi, Chris. I hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise, same to you. What should I do if bootstrapping isn't an option for me when starting a company? Yeah. And for those of you not familiar with the word bootstrapping, what that means, and I didn't know until I worked in VC what that meant, it means basically scrapping as much money as you can together, your own personal assets. I recommend always using other people's money. And I think the best way to do it is, it sounds like you're early stage right there. I wouldn't approach venture capital firms yet. I would approach high net worth investors. And you'd be amazed at how much people want to help you that come from similar backgrounds, meaning they went to the same high school as you, or maybe they grew up in the same neighborhood. And so my book, and you can go to my website, HaroonEducation.com, it's about networking. It's a free download. You can download it. And that will help you understand how to network and get access to high net worth investors, because your net worth is your network. And Saloni is saying, greetings, Chris. Hello, Saloni. I wanted to know about how to price ebooks, courses, and other things of that sort. Thanks. Yeah. So you always follow the market price when it comes to ebooks. It's a cutthroat business. It's very difficult. And even with my first big book, which was 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School, it was profiled in Forbes magazine as one of 6 books all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book and a bunch of others. You recognize the brands. And I only mention that because despite that unbelievable PR that I got, the return on investment is not that great. You don't make very much. I mean, if you get somebody to write an article about you, you see a temporary spike, but that's about it. And if you self-publish, and I recommend self-publishing, you get to keep the bulk of the profits when you publish on Amazon. And what I'll do is, for those of you that are interested in writing a book, I'm going to provide you with a template for free that I write all my books with. And all you have to know how to do is use Microsoft Word in a browser. But when it comes to Kindle and Amazon in general, the margins aren't that great. It's not as great as you think it is. And if you do get a publisher, they take most of the profits. And Barack Obama's editor actually called me to publish my book, and I said no, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if you go to my website, HaroonEducation.com / all lowercase, write book, what you can do is you can download this template here. And I have a lot of wonderful students that are in my MBA degree program that have used this to write unbelievable books. And it's helped them dramatically when they go to informational meetings, when they meet with clients, potential customers, etc., because they hand over the book that they made. And let me get you proof. Actually, let me show you here. Okay, so I'm going to give you examples. These are just some of the books my students have published using the template I'm showing you. And these two here from Yolanda and Eric, they're both in my MBA degree program. They're both awesome. But they use this template I'm showing you right here. It costs you nothing, too. It costs you nothing. So all you have to do is download this template. And once you do so, then what you can do is just follow the instructions on the first page. It's literally one page. That's it. The instructions. And it will teach you how to publish on Kindle, as well as the paper-based version of Amazon, as well as audible.com, which is easy. And then where to go to get your cover image. The only thing that will cost you money maybe is $5 for a cover for the book. And I usually go to fiverr.com, which is right here, this link. And there's this amazing woman I've been dealing with for years. Her name is UltraCon22. She's from Bangladesh. Please use her. She's awesome. And she designs all of my books. And so the template, all of my book covers, the template looks like this. Your name, you've got the title. I mean, all this stuff is in Microsoft Word. It'll update automatically for you. It's really easy. And then here, just in terms of copyright stuff, you can click LegalZoom here and learn how to copyright it. I'm not a lawyer, though. Thank God. I don't like lawyers at all. Unless you're a civil rights lawyer, then I love you. Then the dedication to my mom and dad. Love you, mom and dad, if you're watching. Yeah. Yeah. And here's the whole thing. And then I even put in a table of contents for you. So all you got to do is just fill in the blanks. It's that simple. And then right click on the table of contents and select update within Microsoft Word. It's really, really easy to do. I recommend you self-publish and not use a publisher. And so Barack Obama's publisher called me after my 101 Crucial Lessons book started selling a lot, I'm humble to say. And we went through all the economics and I decided not to do it. And the reason is because my book is priced at $19.99. And what happens is, and I keep at least half of the profits from Amazon. But if a publisher does it, what happens and what they wanted to do was they wanted to jack up the price to like $29, and I would only get $1 from each book they sell. Plus, they own the rights to the book and not me. And I don't want anybody to own my stuff. I want to be free and independent. Always, always, always. I'm a libertarian. I shouldn't talk about politics, but I am. Now in terms of pricing the ebook, it's tough because if you go to Amazon and you select you select pricing the book through there's an all-you-can-eat book version of Amazon. I'm going to go there with you. I'm going to stop, learning how to speak here, and I'll just go there with you. Okay, so it's Amazon.com. So you go to KDP, and then you log in here. It's called self-publishing. It looks like I'm logged in here. So I can go to my bookshelf here and show you books that I've written. So here it is here. I'll show you everything. Okay. So here's all the books that I've written. It's really easy. Just use the template that I told you about. And then so for this book here, here's where I'm selling. Here's the countries. And it's $19.99. And sometimes Amazon, they'll actually cut the price to $9.99. I'll still get $9 or $10 per book sold, which is awesome. But let me show you here. So if we go here, and it's been a while, edit book details. I want to show you this because, hold on one second. Logging in here. Thank God. Okay, good. I always worry when I do these live calls that it's not going to work. Okay, great. So I'm logged in right here. And here, when I go to pricing, continue without saving, whatever. When I go to pricing here for the ebook, I can tell it what price to set, and I'll show you how it works here. So if I set the price here, and it has to be between 99 cents and $200 to $19.99, then I get a royalty of, actually it's less now. Okay, it's $7, 35%. They've lowered it. I didn't even know that. Yeah, and that's on Kindle. You can set a higher return if you want. But it's got to be a lower pricing point, like between $2.99 and $9.99, and you get 70% return on that. which I don't think is worth it. And so I price it based on what other people that are similar to mine price their books at. So what you can do is this. You can go directly to Amazon, and then you can type in 101 Crucial. This one here is one of my books. And just see what other people are doing. And I put it up on Amazon Video as well. So here's the book here. These are just other books of mine. But I like to go down and see what other people price their books at as well, right? So let me go down here. Yeah, it's a cutthroat business, dude. Like people usually underprice me here as well. $9.99. It's so hard. It is so hard. And I really don't make much money from this. I do better on the paper version. But you could look at other books like How to Win Friends, which is my favorite book ever. I'm not joking. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And see what he charges. And I'm not in the same camp as him. Oh my goodness, look at that. I didn't realize he cut his prices. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. But $13 here, $28 here. Yeah, so it's all over the place. So the rough average is $19.99 for all great business books I've found, at least the paperback ones, and Kindle as well. But it is a razor thin margin business. It really is tough. Nobody's going to make an absolute fortune by writing a book. However, it is a great exercise because you can bring that book with you to interviews, as well as to presentations when you're presenting in front of a large crowd. You can order them at cost as well for only a couple bucks per book. And then at the end, when everybody's walking out of the presentation, you can have your book there and people can take it. And I did that once actually with Udemy. I gave a speech at their offsite in Southern California to about 400 employees. And I brought 400 copies of my book, 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School. And I left it at the back exit and everybody just took one each. You can order in bulk and get it discounted. So, but a book is kind of like a marketing thing for you more than anything. It's not a big profit driver unless you're Danielle Steele or John Grisham or these other amazing writers. It's a marketing piece and you can bring it with you to interviews or when you're meeting with a potential customer. You know, who does that? You got to ask yourself, how badly do you want that customer or how badly do you want that job? Same thing. Bring the book with you. Yeah. And dedicate it to your parents too. Yeah. All right. Next up, I've got Alan is saying, hi, Chris. I've hit a wall with the Excel spreadsheet stuff in the final section of the crypto course. Do you have any suggestions for how to break through this? I'm very determined. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. So those of you not familiar what Alan's talking about, he's talking about my complete cryptocurrency course, which you can actually get for free if you go and just search for my name online. Go to YouTube and just do a search for cryptocurrency course, and mine will come up first. I don't advertise, but I figured out how to game the system and come up first in YouTube search. And then if you go to the description field there, you'll click it. And there's a free coupon for you to get the book for free, or the course for free, which is 24 hours long. In terms of the spreadsheet, I mean, it works for me. It works for me. Make sure you're running it. And I know this sounds crazy. Make sure you're not running on an external drive like a USB. Excel messes up when it does. Make sure you're running on your C drive or your main drive in general. And make sure that you have the latest version of Office or Office 365 updated. But it should work. If you let me know a little bit more details in terms of what issues you're having, then I'm more than happy to humbly help you. Yeah. And it only works on a Mac and on Windows. It doesn't work on Excel on an iPad, yeah, or iPhone or Android handset. And Albus is saying, hi, Chris. Hey, no matter how well I prepare for speeches, I end up getting blank on the stage at times. Please guide me through this. Thank you. Yeah. No. I hear you. Well, what you have to do is you gotta tell yourself, I just don't care what people think. And this is a bit cheesy, but I have this key, and it might be hard to see this here, but it says confidence is key here. See, confidence is key. And the way to get incredibly confident is to just say, I don't care what people think of me. I don't care if people are judging me. I don't care. And if you think like you're an elite athlete, you'll be able to really focus, not give a damn about anybody. Think about athletes like Pele or Diego Maradona. I'm trying to be more worldly with football here. Or Cal Ripken Jr. for the Baltimore Orioles. I had to throw in a baseball reference there, hence my bat back there. These athletes, they got up in front of thousands and thousands of fans live and sometimes millions on television. And they don't give a damn. They don't care. Do you know how hard it is to hit a baseball? I mean, it's a primal game of, somebody with a stick and a rock. It's deadly. It's deadly. So these things, and I got this autographed by Joe Carter when he played for the Cleveland Indians years ago, and George Bell actually when he played for the Toronto Blue Jays years ago on autograph day in the 80s. I am old. Hi. But this thing is thrown at you at 100 miles an hour from 60 feet, 6 inches away, and it can curve. It's scary, man. It's lethal. It's lethal. But you just got to say, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. And Yogi Berra, God bless him, he's passed away. He was a New York Yankees catcher who won 10 World Series, actually. He said that baseball is 90% mental and the other half is physical. And I know it doesn't add up at all, the math. But all great elite athletes, they all have one thing in common. They don't give a damn what people think of them. I mean, if they're out there on the field kind of thinking, what do people think of me? They can't focus. And the same with you and me and all of us when we're presenting. If we focus on what other people think of us, you'll never reach your full potential in life. You'll never get that home run, so to speak. And one presentation can change your life. You got to get to a point where you're like, I just don't give a damn what people think of me. I just don't care. And I'm not telling you to be rude, reckless, or disingenuous. I love baseball. But you got to condition yourself not to give a damn what people think. And that's how you'll be successful. Because if you focus on what other people are thinking about you, you'll always be their prisoner. And why the hell does their opinion matter anyway? As Dr. Seuss said, those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind. So who cares? And if there's anybody in your life that's creating insecurities and making you less confident, cut them off. That's what I did. You'll be better for it. Or if you can't cut them off and you're at work and there's a jerk there, then what you got to do is whenever they criticize you, in your head, just tell yourself, unjustified criticism is a disguised compliment. I got to say that one again. Unjustified criticism is a disguised compliment. So bring it on. And if you're not criticized, you're not successful enough. And if you're baited into this poisonous political conversation at work, and you all know who I'm talking about. There's that jerk at work that's kind of political and anything you say can and will be used against you. If they try to bait you into an argument, all you do is you say 2 words. Ready? I got to change camera angles for this. Yeah. 2 words. No, that's not the good angle. This is the one I want. Yeah. You got to say 2 words, which are, I understand. I understand. Because that way, if you say I understand, it doesn't mean you agree with them or disagree with them. It just says, it tells them you understand, So that's what I would do. That's what I would do. But in general, when it comes to a presentation, you just got to do it from your heart, man. And I got to show you guys a video. I'm going to do something on the fly here. I just licensed a video that is so important to me personally and for my students. I licensed it from Steve Jobs. From the guy that interviewed Steve Jobs back in the 90s. So give me 1 second. I want to show you this here. Steve Jobs. Yeah. Here we go. Okay, good. So I'm going to put myself on mute here, and I'm going to play this for you guys. This, by the way, this video will change your life.
So the thing I would say is, when you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love it. I love it. And so the guy that actually filmed that interview, I'm doing a call with him tomorrow, and I want to partner with him on something. Here he is. It's John McLaughlin from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. So credit goes to him and his organization as well. But yeah, you will never be the same once you realize that everything around you is created by people that are no smarter than you. It's true. It's true. Confidence is key. You just got to tell yourself, I don't give a damn what people think of me. And I think another way to get really, really confident for your speech or in life in general is to look for people that inspire you. They're out there. They're out there. A lot of times they're famous athletes or it can be humanitarians or actors, whatever it is. What you have to do is search for their name and then the word confidence. And you'll find out how they turned it on, how they turned it on. And you just got to be comfortable with failure as well. And so here's a great quote from Michael Jordan. Love this guy. He said, "I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." So you have to be comfortable with the fact that you're never going to be perfect. And you got to view failure as a badge of honor. And every time you fail, you get that much closer to success. And, you just got to be right in business one time. That's a great quote from Mark Cuban. And just be yourself when you're presenting, because one epic speech or masterpiece of a presentation that you give, can inspire millions of people and melt away clouds of oppression and help people reach their full potential. And you have to inspire other people too when you present. And you got to think of yourself as being inspirational, because when one teaches, two learn. And if you really inspire other people, you're inspiring yourself. There's every single great public speaker out there started out terrified of public speaking, more terrified than you and I are. And Warren Buffett, a lot of people don't realize this, but Warren Buffett said the only reason he's reached his full potential in life is because he took the Dale Carnegie training course, which is a public speaking course. And without it, he wouldn't be able to raise a lot of money for Berkshire Hathaway. Of course, he's a financial genius, yes, but he's also a great salesperson. And people don't realize that in business, you have to be a great salesperson. You do. Everything is sales. Whether you're an entrepreneur starting a company, you're a salesperson. Whether you're a partner at a law firm, God forbid, or a venture capital firm, or an investment bank, you're basically a glorified salesperson. That's what you are. And so a lot of salespeople don't have confidence issues. And the key to confidence is just telling yourself two things. Number one, I'm going to inspire other people. And number two, most importantly, I don't give a damn what people think. I just don't care. That's what you got to say. It works. It's therapeutic too. Remember that time when you went on a date and you didn't really care, or you asked someone on a date, you're like, I don't really care if she says yes or he says yes, whatever. It worked because you were you're yourself and you weren't nervous. You didn't really care. And remember that time when you went to a bunch of interviews and you just couldn't get that job. And then one day you went to an interview, you're like, I'm so fed up. I'm just going to be me. And so you kind of relaxed in that interview and you were just yourself and you talked about the weather and sports, whatever it is. And you got that job. You got that job because you were you. It's easier than you think just being yourself. It's too hard to try to be someone else. just be you, it works exceptionally well. And senior executives hate it, and your peers hate it when you are not yourself, when you're around them. They hate it. They lose respect for you. But if you ever talk to a senior executive and you're just yourself, they'll love you for it. Same thing with customers. You know, when you show up to a potential customer meeting, don't talk business right away. Just be yourself. Get to know them. It's fun. Business is fun. Relationships are always more important than product knowledge. Yeah. So I think you just got to tell yourself, I don't care what people think of me. And then I want you to go and look for inspiration by watching some of the best speeches in history, like Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Or you can watch the Academy Awards, the best Oscar speeches, like Matthew McConaughey in 2014 when he won Best Actor for the Dallas Buyers Club. Watch his speech, please. Watch it on Google or on YouTube. It'll change you. It's amazing. He doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks of him. And when he's up there, of course, thanking the right people, Oliver Stone, his wife, etc., and Jared Leto, co-star of the movie. He also, and Jennifer Garner, he also was talking directly to his dad, and his mom was in the audience, and he was talking. It's like he was talking right to his mom, and his dad, God bless him, his dad passed away, and so he basically, and I got to show you a prop here, okay? And this is for just one of my courses. This is not real. I am a fraud, okay? This is not real. It's just a prop. But when he was up there holding this Academy Award, he was talking to his father up in heaven, and he started dancing a little bit on the stage. And he said, Dad, this is for you. And he said, my father's up in heaven right now, and he's sitting in his underpants, and he's eating a lemon meringue pie, and he's drinking Miller Lite, and he's dancing. He got up there, and he was himself. Same thing with Roberto Benigni. When he won, I think it was Best Actor or Best Movie for Life is Beautiful, which has a wonderful soundtrack too, and I love. Do a search on that one. Do a search on that speech. He got up there and he was so passionate, and he was just himself. And Sophia Loren was the one that gave him that award up on stage. And he got up there, he was himself, and he said with his amazing Italian accent, I want to make love to everybody. He didn't care. He didn't care. And he thanked his parents for the gift of poverty. Wonderful speech. So you either inspire people or you get inspired. So watch these speeches, Oscar speeches, etc., and get inspired by those people. And then I want you to turn your idols into your rivals. When you inspire other people, you're inspiring yourself as well. And when it comes to worry about career and work stuff and a presentation, I tell myself one thing, which really puts me at ease. What I tell myself is that God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts me at ease. God knows what's going to happen. It's just a speech. Who cares? You're up there, you're talking. You spend your whole life talking anyway. And God already knows what's going to happen. And that should put you at ease. And I want you to enjoy the presentation. Okay, make it an artistic masterpiece as well. There's a reason why I have a palette up here, because I think in business you can be incredibly creative and absolutely love what you do. Love what you do. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. If you have additional questions, please let me know. Next question is, what are ETFs? How are call and put options different from ETFs and normal stocks? Yeah. So ETFs stands for exchange traded funds. And I don't want anybody to ever buy mutual funds because they're a ripoff and they're a scam and the fees are so high. And there's a lot of hidden fees too. And they underperform ETFs and indexes. And I have a vlog on this. You can search on my YouTube channel for mutual funds scam. They are a scam. One of the reasons they're relevant is because they have these great long-term relationships with big companies, and they advertise a lot, and they have a lot of lobbyists as well in DC and other political hotspots in the world. So ETFs are exchange-traded funds, and let me show you an example here. Okay, so there's the SPY, right, which is the spiders, that's what they call it. And so this here is basically a collection of all 500 stocks that make up the United States index of the S&P 500. And don't ever pay for any finance software. Don't ever pay for Bloomberg or any of that stuff. I used to pay thousands of dollars every month for Bloomberg for my analysts in my company. Not anymore. I go to Yahoo Finance. It's free, just as good. Just make sure you don't read the sponsored stories below. Okay, like this here, this ad, right? It's almost criminal sometimes, these things they show. And if you want, you can actually do a search on Motley Fool review. And I published a vlog recently on that, just with my honest thoughts on it. Yeah. So you can go here and find out the holdings as well. You know, what is in the S&P 500? Well, here's all the sectors. Okay. The largest sector is technology, which is a large percent of the US economy now. And if you scroll down, you'll see that most of the stocks in the top 10 are tech companies: Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft. Right here. Here they are. Yeah. Amazon, etc. Yeah. That's Google there. And so that's ETF for that. You can also buy ETFs for oil, which might be a good idea. And maybe or maybe not, I've bought it recently because oil was negative. What the hell is that? So the downside was very limited. I'll never tell you what to buy. Always do your own research. Or you can buy Brazil. So here's the ETF for Brazil. And this is Brazil is a very natural resource rich economy, kind of like Canada. And I'll show you Canada in a second. And if we go here to holdings, you'll find that down here, you've got copper companies, you got Petrobras, which is Petroleum Brazil, which is a big oil company, obviously, that sort of thing. And if you want to invest in Canada on the cheap as well, you can go here to another ETF for Canada, right? In Canada, like Brazil, it's natural resources rich. So you can go here to the holdings right here. So you've got Enbridge, which is a pipeline. Good for you, Shopify. It's awesome to see a tech company in Canada doing well. I love that. I'm Canadian. It makes me proud. You got an energy company here. You got Barrick Gold, ticker ABX. But you can also do ETFs for, let me see what else I want to show you. Gold. Yeah, gold. So GLD is the ETF for gold. So I don't like buying gold bars because I don't know if they're melted down or what's really in them. Plus, it's a pain in the ass to take them and put them in a safety deposit box and all that stuff. I don't mind paying like a 0.5% fee for this. It's really liquid. It trades a lot. So what we can do is we can go to profile and see, well, what are the fees? Well, the expense ratio here is actually pretty low, right? It's 0.4%. It's not bad. It's pretty good. And that goes for all major ETFs from large companies like S&P, Schwab, Vanguard, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So your next question was, what are options? What are calls and puts? Yeah. So they're different from ETFs. So a call is basically a way to bet a little bit of money on a stock going up a lot. And if it goes up, you make a lot of money. If it goes down, all you lose is this little amount of money. Now, a put is the opposite of a call. A put is you buy a small amount of money in a put, and if the stock goes down, you make money. If the stock goes up, you lose money. That's how it works. That's how it works. And if you have additional questions based on that, please let me know. And please don't ever short stocks because the losses can literally be infinite. If you want to bet against a company, I would look at puts. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Albus is saying, please elaborate on the operations of FinTech. Yeah. So every large investment bank, their two biggest investments are always technology and people. And companies like Wells Fargo and Bank of America, they literally have $10 billion annual, technology budgets. And so what they'll do a lot of the times is they'll invest in startups. And all these big investment banks have their own venture capital division now as well. So, for example, Citibank here in Palo Alto, they have Citi Ventures, which is probably the largest financial services-based venture capital arm of a big finance company. And they'll invest in technology companies that help them be better in finance, hence the word FinTech. And a lot of these firms, they have big sandboxes as well. And I've met the CTOs of almost all those large firms because I do a lot of business with them. Because my venture capital companies I invested in, their customers were CTOs, et cetera. But they all have these sandboxes, so to speak. where they test new applications. And there's a couple reasons why they do this. Number one is so that they can be more profitable and more successful in the competition by leveraging technology. And number two, and nobody talks about this, but it's true. Number two is because if they help a tech company by being their first customer, and that tech company does really well and wants to go public, who do you think is going to take them public? Which investment bank? And so the reason we didn't see much regulation in financial services for years, with healthcare very recently because of the terrible coronavirus. It's almost like the biotech sector is being deregulated a little bit, meaning you're allowed to do human trials a lot faster than expected because we are all in this together. Yeah. All right, next up is Kundan, who's saying, please summarize your Wall Street experience in short with some insights. Yeah. So I think the best way to do that is to show you a video. And so what you can do is, and I'm not going to play it, but I will paste it in the field there for you, okay? It's a day in the life of a hedge fund analyst. And I show you exactly where I worked, where I got off the subway, what floor I worked at, what conferences I went to, what I did when I woke up in the morning, how I made money, how I overreacted, how I didn't do well, and how I did exceptionally well. So all you do is you go to my YouTube channel. That's Chris Haroun. And then when you're here, just do a search. Just do a search when you're here on hedge fund, right? So it's day in life in the hedge fund. Let's do it here. Day in life hedge fund Haroun. Let's see if this comes up. Yeah, here it is here. Yeah. So this is when I didn't understand how to use cameras that well. Look how pale it was. So it's 11 minutes. I don't want to waste your time with it right now. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just give you this one here instead. Yeah. Actually, screw it. I'm going to show you this to you. Okay, so hold on one second. Let me go here. It's only 4 minutes, but it'll explain finance to you. You'll enjoy this. Yeah, you'll enjoy this. All right, hold on one second. And let me get my face out of the way.
A hedge fund analyst. This section is as incredibly authentic as I could make it, including what a day in the life was like for me when I was an analyst. Let's kick it off with Horatio, our analyst. He's in his apartment before the market opens in the morning. He's very excited because Google beat earnings and the stock is up huge pre-market. Now, he really should learn to keep his emotions in check. The best analysts in general and investors are generally unemotional. So he's on his way to work now, and he gets off the subway. He's happy about his Google long position, and he's hopeful that his GoPro short position will work. He's also pitching a new idea to Pam, his boss, in the morning meeting. And so this is the exact same office and building where I worked at Goldman Sachs. And Pam, his boss, kicks off the meeting by giving an update on the technology portfolio. So she kicks it off by mentioning that Google beat earnings. We see Horatio is happy yet again. But unfortunately, their short position in GoPro didn't work out. And so Horatio's a little bit upset that he didn't make money on that position. Now, Pam introduces Horatio, and he's going to give his new investment thesis on LinkedIn. And she's telling him to please discuss fundamentals, valuation, catalysts, and technicals in that order. I'll cover all that later. He starts with fundamentals by saying LinkedIn is basically a monopoly. The management team is great, revenue growth is great, and profitability is going to take off. He then moves on to talk about valuation by saying that some people think it looks expensive, but not to him because in his financial model, his estimates are much higher than the rest of the street's estimates, so he thinks the stock will trade up eventually to a target price of $244. He then talks about the catalyst. Sorry, my humor is awful. And there has to be a reason why you invest in a stock. And the catalyst here is that there's a cool new product coming out soon that investors will get excited about. Moving on to the technicals. We will cover technicals in more detail later, but the bottom line here is that the chart looks really good.
so that the traders think there's a good chance to buy the stock at a good technical level. And again, we'll cover all of this shortly. Now he's recommending that Pam back up the truck and make LinkedIn a big 5% position, as the upside is great and the downside is limited. And so the stars are all aligned on this position. He's saying it's a broken stock and not a broken company. He then leaves the morning meeting and goes to a sell-side conference. Our sell-side analyst, Sally, is leading this conference. It's her conference. And if she adds a lot of value, then what will happen is the buy side will trade through her trading floor and give her firm a lot of commissions. And what investors love about these events is that you have a lot of CEOs and CFOs of publicly traded companies that are presenting. And so Sally is talking about the great lineup they have. There's two firms presenting that we care most about. One is called Oh, I Get It, and the other one is called LinkedIn. And Oh, I Get It is a private company in real life, but let's assume that they're public for the sake of this conference. And now Sally introduces the keynote speaker, who is Franklin, the founder of Oh, I Get It. And so he gets up there and he mentions that this is being webcast, meaning everyone in the world can listen to it, which by law you have to do if you change business guidance through commentary. And he's raising guidance right now, and look how excited Horatio is. He's excited because his company owns a stock. He needs to tell his boss right away to buy more stock before other people do and the stock goes up. So he opens up his iPhone and he tells Pam, please buy Oh, I Get It shares right away, as Franklin just raised guidance at the sell-side conference. And Pam is very happy about this. She tells her trader to buy 100,000 shares with a limit of $10.50. That means if the stock is $10.50 or less. And now the conference is over, and Sally mentions the last trade at the end of the day, and Oh, I Get It was $27.50. And look at that, Horatio, our hedge fund analyst, is so happy. He's having the best day ever. And in true Titanic fashion, he thinks he is the king of the world. All right, hold on one second. All right, I'm back. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. But I also have another video, which has a couple 100,000 views. And I only mention that because if you go to my YouTube website, you can sort by videos, most viewed. And it talks about the 14 different roles in finance. And I really focus on the top 7 roles. And it's a 4-minute video, which hopefully is very, very helpful. Yeah. Okay. Actually, let me show it to you. I think this is helpful. Because for everybody here, this will explain a lot of detail, the different financial roles. Okay. And the biggest role in finance that matters is sales. Most people in finance are salespeople. People don't realize that. So let me actually go there with you, and let's go there together. Let's go to Chris Haroun Ventures. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at, man? All right. Oh my God, you guys are gonna love this one. So this here will basically, it'll tell you how finance roles work, and it's This is the one here. Yeah. So I did this one a couple years ago, and I hope you enjoy it. Financial analyst roles. Hold on, here we go. There are many different financial analyst roles, from investment banking to hedge funds. Here we go. There are many different financial analyst roles, from investment banking to hedge funds to venture capital to private equity to trading to sales, etc. There's many of them. And in this course, per the images below, I'm going to go through 14 different financial analyst roles. And so what we're going to do in this portion is I'm actually going to go over just the top 7 of the 14. And we'll build on this logic very slowly so you understand what some of the basic daily tasks are for these 7 analysts you see in front of you. And I think you'll enjoy this session. Again, we're going to build on this slowly. And so let me just kick it off with a quick animation on what these roles are. All right. And if you have additional questions on the different financial analyst roles, please let me know. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to the next question here. Kundan is saying, what are your overall views on working on Wall Street? So I think there's a lot of very, very unhappy people on Wall Street because they're chasing money, and anybody that does it just for the money is never going to be happy. And so it's probably the highest concentration of depressed people in the business world. And the cancer of Wall Street, and I lived it, okay, and I'm going to be self-critical as well. The cancer of Wall Street is every December or January, when you get your year-end bonus, you always compare yourselves to those that have more or made more. There's always that one outlier, that one person that made 8 figures or whatever it is. And it's deadly. It's deadly because you're never happy. You're never happy. And, you know, the Dalai Lama had this great quote. I'm going to butcher it here, but he said, the problem with Western society is we tend to sacrifice our health, our entire lives in order to make money. And at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money in order to maintain our health. And then we look back and we realize we never really lived to begin with. So I don't think anybody should go to Wall Street unless you truly are passionate about stocks or investment banking, that sort of thing. Because if you chase money, you'll lose your money and your dreams. But if you chase your dreams, as long as you're willing to fail a couple times at least, please fail more than a couple times, then not only will your dreams become true, but eventually the money will follow accidentally. It always does. You know, nobody has done it just for the money. You know, Elon Musk has not created these awesome Tesla cars or SpaceX and all those other amazing solar entities just for the money. He's done it because he loves it. He's truly passionate about what he does. He really is. And the same thing can be said for any great entrepreneur. You know, J.K. Rowling, she didn't write those Harry Potter books for money. She did because she's passionate about literature. She loves it. And when you love what you do, you'll run circles around your competition. Next question is, do you think the contents we get in the CFA are still practical, or do they need to revise their syllabus? I think the CFA is great. I really do. If somebody's going to ask me, should I do an MBA in finance or a CFA, I'd say hands down, do a CFA. So CFA, for those of you not familiar with it, stands for Certified Financial Analyst. And it's a 3-year program that you do during the evenings, and you write an exam every year. And the exam's quite long. And there's 3 levels, yeah. And so level 1 is kind of a review of finance that you learn in business school. And then level 2 and 3 are much higher level stuff that they won't teach you in business school for the most part. I really respect the designation. And I did level 1 years ago. And I remember Goldman Sachs was great. When I worked there, they paid for it all, including the books and everything. And I remember it was right after 9/11. And we all had to go and write it in this massive warehouse in New Jersey. And there's 5,000 people in that room. It was crazy. It felt like old Soviet architecture, all cement, crappy building and cold. And it was uncomfortable because right before we started, the moderator for the exam said, "Can you all please stand up?" And we did. And he did something wonderful, actually. He said, I want to have a minute of silence for those that have the CFA, meaning they're CFA charter holders, that died on 9/11. And that it felt like forever. They were reading every name. It was the right thing to do. I'm glad they did it. But it was kind of uncomfortable. I remember that well. If you're going to do the CFA, what I recommend doing is don't buy the books they recommend that you buy. I want you to buy the books by a company called Schweizer, which is owned by Kaplan, which is owned by the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. But Schweizer, and buy them used on eBay. It'll cost you about $30 instead of paying close to $1,000 for the CFA textbooks. And it's a lot smaller too. It's condensed into a small amount. And I always want you to work smarter and not harder. Okay. Next question is from Kundan, who's saying, as an Indian, if I want to work on Wall Street, then how can I get used to the accounting standards of the United States, or do I have to have a CPA? No. So in the United States, the accounting standard for accountants is GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. For a finance person, it's a little bit different. They look at GAAP, but without all the non-cash stuff like depreciation and et cetera. And I teach a lot about that in my MBA degree program. But U.S. accounting is similar to most countries. There might be small differences, and I've invested in a lot of Indian companies, Satyam, Infosys, Wipro, et cetera, Mahindra, Crompton and Greaves, engineering services companies, et cetera. And the accounting there is quite similar. There are some differences, though, like depreciation rates, which I don't really care about because whenever I model the future, I don't look at depreciation because it's a non-cash expense. Also, the tax rate is different in every country as well. And that's why people look at EBITDA. So EBITDA stands for earnings before I tricked dumb accountant. No? Bad dad humor? Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And basically what that means is how much money does a company make before stuff like taxes or depreciation, which are different in different countries, right? And that's important because you can't compare two companies to each other that have different tax rates by looking at net income longer term or different depreciation levels. And I've got a prop here I want to show you. So if you want to compare, and I'm going to make this up, but a Swiss watch company and an American watch company, you would look at EBITDA because taxes in America are different than they are in Switzerland, and depreciation laws are different in Switzerland than they are in America. That's why we look at EBITDA. Yeah, and by the way, Apple sold more watches last quarter than all watches sold in Switzerland. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing, yeah. All right, let me put that watch aside. Okay, next question is, how do we decide pay scales for employees? Yeah, so every company is a little bit different. Every company is different. And it depends where you live as well. Cost of living is very, very important. So in Silicon Valley and on Wall Street, starting salaries a lot of the times can be $100,000. And yet that's a hell of a lot of money. However, the cost of living is very, very high. So a lot of it has to do with where you live. And I'll give you an example. When I worked at Accenture, in Ottawa when I was a kid in my early 20s, I remember I made $19,000 US a year. And it was fine. It was a lot of money. It was great. I paid for rent in my little house there in Sandhill, or not Sandhill. It's called, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, cool little area in Ottawa. But I remember my peers at Accenture that worked in the United States were making close to $40,000 because the cost of living in Ottawa was a lot lower than other areas. And yes, I do think we were underpaid. And one thing that bothers me about big U.S. companies when it comes to Canada is and I don't want to be controversial here, but a lot of times big U.S. companies, they'll take risks in their company personnel-wise and use Canada kind of as a lab rat, so to speak. And what that means is if they're trying out new HR policies and pay scales, they'll use Canada as a smaller market test to see if it works. And then they'll roll it out across the United States if it works. It just is what it is. I don't like it, but it is what it is. The same thing with, I remember when the Canadian dollar was at par with the US dollar years ago, meaning they were both at $1 to $1 each. I remember going into Chapters, which is like Canada's Barnes and Noble's bookstore, and looking on the inside cover of books and seeing the US price was still way lower than the Canadian price. I just don't get it. I don't understand that. It shouldn't be that way, but a little bit off topic there. Sorry. Yeah. But when it comes to Silicon Valley, a lot of engineers have to start at it's got to be 100 at least. And what you can do in general, and the CEOs of companies I've been on the boards of before usually make between 150 and 180. And then, of course, there's stock options as well here in the Bay Area because it's expensive to live here. But what you can do actually is you can go to this great website called Glassdoor. Go cancel here. All right. Glassdoor. And you can find out how much money you can make. Right. So for certain jobs in the world. And so if you want, you can log in here and check it out. So right here, this is just a random job here for close to 100K for associate delivery manager in San Ramon, which isn't that far away from here. You can explore salaries on average. Like here's data scientist, which is the buzzword du jour, kind of like big data used to be, because data wasn't big until the word big data was created. Just kidding, sort of. But data scientists here, they make over 100 grand. So you can go to this website and find out for individual companies as well what they pay. What they pay, yeah. All right. Next question we've got is and one more thing. If you have employees, and I do this, I offer a year-end bonus, always, even if it's a bad year, always. And what I do is if we have an amazing year, I pay large year-end bonuses. And I'm hopeful that kind of like on Wall Street, year-end bonuses will be much higher than base salaries in my company in the long run. Yeah. But I don't hire that many people. I like to keep my team small. Yeah. And actually, one of my MBA degree students, Mo, I want him to work with me. And so we're setting something up right now, actually. Yeah. A little bit off topic there. Sorry. But I love my companies to be very, very, very small, personnel wise, because I think that there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Nothing gets done. And you all know what I mean. You've had that group project at school, or you've been in a meeting at work, and there's too many people in that meeting, and nothing gets done. It's chaos. It's chaos. And my wife, Christine, she works at a big company, and I bought her this mug for Christmas. And the mug, it says on it, I just attended another meeting that could have been an email. And so I'm not a meetings guy at all. I hate meetings unless, we have to have a meeting. Because a lot of times meetings in big companies are for empire building. Somebody wants to kind of make their authority more important and show everyone up and that sort of thing. It's not all big companies are bad bureaucracy wise, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And even Amazon. So Amazon, great company, obviously, which I think the DOJ will break up eventually into two companies, AWS and everything else. But even with Amazon, Jeff Bezos still runs the company like it's a startup. And he does that because, he's very cheap, rightly so. And the desks in a lot of Amazon offices are made out of doors. You can Google that. It's true, just to save money. And also, no meeting is ever allowed to take place at Amazon that requires more than 2 pizzas to feed people in the meeting. It's a 2 pizza rule. Because if you have too many people in a room, nothing will get done. I believe that small groups of people can change the world. 2 girls and boys in a garage can change the world. I don't think big companies can change the world once the founder leaves. Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got, hello, Chris. Hope you're well from Corey Cost. Thank you. Likewise. This is Donna. I'm in my 4th consecutive week with you on your weekly live session. Thank you for your invaluable time and honest answers. I have a question about mindset. Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. The question is, do you believe in the law of attraction? How has it helped you in your achievements? And I feel so ignorant right now. I don't even know what that means. Give me 1 second. It'll literally take me a second here. Let me do a search here. What is the law of attraction? Okay, it's a new thought. Law of attraction is the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring... Oh my God. Okay, yeah, I can answer this one. Absolutely, yes. I wholeheartedly believe in the law of attraction. I just had different terminology for it. I believe that if you're a very positive person and you see crisis as an opportunity, you'll be extraordinarily successful in business and in life in general. Dale Carnegie, who wrote this incredible book, which I have here somewhere. It's over here, actually, called How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said that we have to understand in business that quite often people are creatures of emotion and not creatures of logic. And you got to be like what Warren Buffett said, which is greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. And I promise you, and this is controversial what I'm about to say, but if you cut off everybody in your life that's negative and is bringing you down, you will be much happier and way more successful. And if you can't cut them off, then just when they criticize you in your mind, tell yourself unjustified criticism is a disguised compliment. It's kind of like when you're, I don't know, man, like when you're younger and your parents say, I don't want you to hang out with that person because that person does drugs. And you're like, Mom, Dad, he doesn't do drugs. Yes, he does. You know he does. They're doing it because they love you. And so they try to pick your friends and help you when you were younger. So now it's your turn. Upgrade your friends or cut off any ones that are negative. And for me, it used to be like, I don't know, 5 strikes, you're out. You're out. That's how we say it in Canada. It's not out, Americans. It's out. Okay. For me, it used to be, 5 strikes, you're out. And I got to hold my baseball bat while I talk about this for inspiration. But then now it's like 1 or 2 strikes, you're out. If somebody brings you down, cut them off. Dude, you'll be better for it. You'll be much better for it. And you'll be much more successful because we are a product of who we hang out with. It's true. So change your environment. You're not a tree, you can move. I got that quote from Meryl Streep. I love it. Change your environment. And if, it's kind of like you set the soundtrack for your life. And that's why I love listening to inspiring classical music. Whenever I'm working, it inspires me. And one of my favorite soundtracks is actually from the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. The music was written by Alan Silvestri. It's great. It's amazing. And Randy Newman's The Natural with Robert Redford. But whenever I see a movie that inspires me, I get the soundtrack and I listen to it while I work because that gets me into a peak mental state. Yeah. So you set the soundtrack for your life. You set your environment. And if your environment is filled with people that are trying to poison the political environment of where you work or school or whatever it is, cut them off. Cut them off. And if they try to bait you with their poisonous politics and you can't cut them off, then when they say something that's very controversial and the way you answer it is going to screw you over either way, you know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like you have the right to remain silent, but you don't. You got to say something. Then you should just respond with these 2 words. I understand. Because you're not telling them that you agree or disagree with them. You're just saying, I understand. But if you can, cut off everybody in your life that's negative because they're doing nothing to you except bringing you down and making you not reach your full potential in life. Yeah. Surround yourself with people that are very, very positive. They believe that the glass is not half full, it overfloweth. My cup overfloweth with optimism. And just cut off the naysayers. Because every very successful entrepreneur has one major thing in common. A couple things, actually. Number one is they're very positive people. Like Sir Richard Branson, that guy oozes positivity. I love him. He's great. He's great. Listen to his audiobooks, please. They're amazing. It'll get you into a peak mental state. Most entrepreneurs are like that are successful. They're positive because what happens is when you start a company, you got to be careful because things get crazy fast. And there's this guy named Scott Weiss, who is a general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, big venture capital firm. And we were on the board of a company together. And he came up with this term that Ben Horowitz wrote about in his book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Scott came up with this term that every company in the first 2 years, they have multiple WFIO moments. WFIO. Okay, right? Earmuffs. It stands for we're fucked, it's over. And you have to know that you're going to get a lot of WFIO moments in your life as an entrepreneur. But you just have to see crisis as an opportunity and stay positive. Otherwise, you'll never make it big. You'll never make it big. Yeah. And march to the beat of your own drum as well. The second thing a lot of great entrepreneurs have in common is they just don't give a damn what anybody thinks of them. they are the best athletes. The best athletes get up there and they don't, I got to use my other angle for this one here. Got this new angle here. Let me know what you think. So the best athletes, they don't give a damn what people think of them. When they're up there, there's hundreds of thousands of people on television in the stands watching. They don't give a damn. And that's why they're so good at what they do. I don't think they're necessarily all more athletic than the average person. That's right. I think a lot of them have just a lot of confidence, Muhammad Ali type confidence. I love Muhammad Ali. If you want some pick me up quotes, dude, you got to just go do a Google search or a Bing search if you work at Microsoft. Sorry. Do a Google search on Muhammad Ali quotes. Really inspiring. And, you have to watch this LeBron James documentary on Muhammad Ali. Search for it online, rent it online. I watched it on HBO last year, and it's, oh my God, it's mind-blowing. It's amazing. You always got to search for inspiration and pick-me-ups and just eliminate everyone in your life that's negative. All right. Yeah, and I'm positive too from a law of attraction perspective with my religion. And there's only one God, and we all believe in the same God. But sometimes when I'm stressed out at work, which doesn't happen often at all, I tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts peace in my heart. And I just focus on what I can control. All right. Next one is Daniel is saying, hi, Chris. I hope you and your family are well. Thank you. Likewise, we're good. Thank you for the opportunity. My pleasure. So far, I've had corporate finance and corporate strategy roles at a bank, and I'll start a 2-year full-time MBA. After reading your book, I'm working on my 10-year resume, and I'd like to get to private equity or venture capital by year 10. Okay, good. You're doing your 10-year simple perfect resume. Good, thank you. The methodology works. Yeah. And for those of you curious about what Daniel's talking about, it's a course I have, which is the only course I have with a lifetime 100% money back guarantee. It's called the Complete Job Course. You can find it on Udemy or go to my website, HaroonEducation.com. Yeah. And we do a version of this on steroids for my MBA degree program. And a bunch of people in my MBA degree program have MBAs from top schools already. Yeah. And they've told me they've learned more from my program so far. We've only done the first, 110 hours or so of this 300-hour plus degree. And because they're gold and platinum subscribers to the MBA degree program, it's going to be more like 500 hours, including Q&A. Yeah. Okay, so you want to get into private equity or venture capital, and there's a gap. Yeah. So private equity and venture capital are very different. People lump them together because a lot of times they deal with private companies, and the fee structure is the same, meaning they usually take an annual fee of 2% of assets under management, AUM, and a 20% incentive. So private equity is all about taking companies that are poorly run, that may or may not be publicly traded, and buying a big stake in that company or take it private, make it work better by letting people go and bringing in better people, and then selling it back to the public through an IPO, et cetera. It's what happened with Marvel, which a lot of people don't realize this, but Carl Icahn, who's probably the second best private equity firm on the planet, second only to Henry Kravis, who I met, nice guy. But Carl Icahn, he bought Marvel and basically out of bankruptcy. And that was a private equity investment. He did extraordinarily well. When eventually it went public, and then the Walt Disney Corporation bought it. Yeah. So, but private equity, you have to be good at networking in all finance roles just to meet potential, companies that you want to invest in. You also have to be great at networking because you might find great managers to parachute into a company, so to speak, to help them run it better. You have to understand financial modeling cold, especially cash flow. Yeah. Now, when it comes to venture capital, don't do it until you've started at least one company. Because if you network enough and you get a job at a VC firm, you'll hit a glass ceiling, so to speak. You won't progress, because what happens is when you work in venture capital, when you try to convince startups to let you invest in them, the startup manager or entrepreneur, she or he, will let you go on their board. And when you go on their board, you're supposed to give advice based on your experiences running companies or starting companies. And if you've never started a company, then you're not going to progress to general partner in a venture capital firm. You're not. So do it later in life. And just understand that venture capital, there's really only about 10 companies that make a lot of money, and the rest are kind of chasing after the scraps. And I have a very good friend who works at the largest venture capital firm, and he just got his first bonus recently, ever. And he's been there for a decade. And his base salary is decent. It's not amazing. You just got to know that these are long investment cycles, man. It's rough. It's rough. You're a stockholder. You're a stockholder. So make sure you do it for the right reasons, meaning you thoroughly enjoy it. Thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah. In both professions, a lot of it comes down to networking. Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to do VC, start a company. If you want to do private equity, you don't have to go into PE right away. You can do investment banking first if you want, or work in the corporate finance department of a big company. Yeah. And then you're going to have to network a lot to get that first gig. Yeah. Okay. And I talk a lot about networking skills in that course you're taking, which should help you get informational meetings. It'll also help you get that job. Yeah. Or your money back. Lifetime money back guarantee. Ramon has a question. Hi, Chris. It's my second time here on the Office Hours. Welcome back. Wishing everyone a great day of learning. Thank you. Thank you. Great to have you. Thank you. Next up, we've got Kundan, who's saying, in Ivy League colleges, do they teach all the practical aspects of FX, M&A, cryptocurrencies, earn-out accounting, IFRS, etc., or the students have to self-learn? Yeah. No, dude, they're not up to, no, they teach a lot of bogus theory, like supply and demand charts. There's no way they teach about cryptocurrencies. They're old. Like, these business schools are teaching methodologies that, were popular a couple decades ago. It's theoretical. A lot of it's theoretical. Yeah. No, there's a big problem with business schools. They're expensive. It costs you $100,000. My MBA degree program is literally $500 for the lowest tier, which is the equivalent of 1 hour. That's right. 1 hour at these Ivy League MBA degree programs. Yeah. Yeah. Now, in terms of M&A, they will teach you corporate finance. I'll give them that. And yes, they will teach you IFRS accounting, but not the recent stuff like social networking and yeah. And they don't even tell you how to network or how to sell or how to present. These are important skills that I teach. Yeah. All right, time for my breakfast. So I got this Ninja Bullet now, which is great. It's great. It's less than $100, and when I'm in a hurry, which I was this morning, I just throw in greatest hits of all this stuff in the fridge, vegetables, whatever it is. So it's a good deal. Yeah. All right. What do you guys think of the new camera angle here? It's on a slider. And it's B-roll. So A-roll, the A camera, people talk about, and video nerds talk about, is usually this one, the one you look into. And I've got several B cameras. I've got this one here, which is on a slider. I've got this one here, and I've got another angle as well, which is on this side. And check out that quote, great quote from Malala. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. And I believe it. Yeah. Yeah. But let me know what you guys think of this new angle here. I'm trying to do behind the scenes, and I've got it on this slider. And it's the exact same slider Dan Rather uses for it's called One Man Crew, OMC. Yeah. It's made by a company called Red Rock. Okay. Next question is, hey, Melody, how are you? Melody is a teacher from Atlanta, and she's just finishing up her book. and a couple of Udemy courses as well. Great to have you. And you wrote, "How is quarantine life treating you and the family?" And you wrote, "Hope everyone is safe and healthy." So things are it's rough for everybody, but I try to see some positives at least. It's just hard to find anything positive because it's such a tragic ordeal that's occurring. But I'm really bonding with my kids, especially my oldest one. And they say that when your child is 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. And so Andrew, my oldest one, he's 15, and I built a gym in the garage about a year ago, and we're working out together. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I think one of the best investments you can buy in your house for your kids, if you have a little bit of space, is a gym or free weights, whatever it is. Because if your kids really get into that, they'll stay away from other bad substances at such a crucial age. Because I think that if you lose your kid to drugs when they're teenagers, you never get them back. You never do. So if you can get a gym at home, it's been great. It's been great. Yeah. Bonding with Andrew. Yeah. And your question is, did you make your own website when you started Haroon Ventures? So I monitor it right now. I'll show you what I use. So there's a company called Squarespace, and I use it, and I had this one guy, a marketing dude, create just the shell of it, and he actually just changed the homepage. And I'll show it to you. So I have a bunch of websites. So if we go here, the website used to look like this until this week, and then I just had Jim, my marketing guy, redesign just the homepage. But it's really, really easy using Squarespace. And I don't get compensated for any company I ever mention. I just want to humbly help if I possibly can. But it's really, really easy. You don't have to know any code. I do have some JavaScript code injections here I've made. But in general, it's really, really easy. It's just drag and drop, click on items here. So a lot of you have actually got, that's actually an old one, sorry. Student testimonials, whatever. A lot of you have read the student testimonials here of my students that have taken my MBA degree program, et cetera. And it's basically a landing page. And the purpose of it is to get you to go to here, to check out the MBA degree program. And I have amazing students, love them to death. They've actually written a lot of reviews. So they're here, and you can click to their LinkedIn profiles. I've got Akil from India, Stella from South Korea, Vital I met in Germany. I've got Yoshida-san from Japan, Eric from the Netherlands, Ahsan from Pakistan, Jason from Australia, Doris from the United Kingdom. I've got Lamar from the Philippines. Poor Lamar, he's visiting. I met with him and his wife a month or two ago here, and he can't go back to the Philippines. He just can't get a flight. Sad. Then I've got Rose from the United States, and Dante from Canada, and I've got Kevin from the United States. Kevin already has an MBA from a great school, I think Notre Dame. I've got Haroun from Belgium, and I've got Purva from the United States, and he already has an MBA as well. And then Ghana, United States, and I think Fanny went to Cornell. So it's the purpose of my homepage is just to kind of drive traffic to my Udemy courses or to my MBA degree program. Yeah. All right. I have my website, but I'm struggling a bit with the layout. That's the question. Yeah. I would use Squarespace is easy, or you can even use WordPress. They're pretty easy to use, both of those, or even Wix. And the great thing is you get these free templates to make your website look and feel professional. Yeah. Make sure that you design it for mobile, though, with mobile in mind. Always. Yeah. And Rollins is saying, "Hello, Prof. Hope you're fine. Hope you're well." So I think we exchanged messages yesterday. I think so. And you mentioned you're from Nigeria, and you're taking my MBA degree program. Yeah. It's great to hear from you. And you wrote here, "I've been following you and taking your courses and others. Thank you. I want to have a business online, but I am just worried about what I can bring to the internet that can also be a source of income. Yeah. So when you start online businesses, and I think you mentioned in the email you're joining my MBA degree program, I'm going to teach you how to write an amazing business plan. In semesters 3 and 4, it's a 4-semester program. Semesters 3 and 4, I do a venture capital boot camp. And I've actually been involved in VC boot camps for years here in the Valley. So I'm going to take what I've learned and humbly try to help you as well become very, very successful. When you provide me with more details in your business model in the MBA degree program, I'll help you. But just don't ever make a product that is not virtual. Because, and I think the best side hustles are teaching online. I can teach you how to do that. But I don't want you to make a product, a physical product. And if you do, make sure that it's financed by customers before it's been made. Like for example, whenever you buy a book on Amazon, a paperback, the day you buy it, it hasn't been printed yet. And so what you can do is, if you get a soft cover, you can always go to the last page here, and you probably won't be able to read that, but it'll say where it's been, where it was created. This one's made in San Bernardino on the 2nd of January 2020. I ordered it on January 1st. This is one of my awesome students. His book is called Awesome Ego Trip. Yeah. But yeah, and similar to how Amazon does it with just-in-time inventory, which is something that Edward Deming in the 80s and the Japanese kind of pioneered. The way they do it is, from a cash flow perspective, well, first of all, it costs you nothing, but Amazon will take, between 35 and 70% royalty, depending on how much you price that. And Amazon will print it, the day after it's ordered. So if you're going to make a product and have inventory, make sure that you have people order it and pay you before you deliver it, before you even create it, actually. Kind of like what Michael Dell did with Dell Computers from his college dorm room in the 1980s. All right. And Melody is saying, I decided to only put 3 tabs on my website: online classes, vlog, and contact us. That's great. That's good. That's good. Yeah. And remember to always repurpose your content. So whenever you vlog, that obviously goes to YouTube, but reuse that content to send videos to Instagram, Twitter, etc. We're playing around with TikTok. I don't think I get it. I can't dance, and I'm bored in the house, in the motherfucking house. Bored in the house. Love that. Yeah. Actually, TikTok is keeping us sane. The videos are hysterical. I love it. I don't look at the dancing stuff, but the comedy ones are awesome. I laugh very hard a couple times every day because of TikTok. Yeah. Just remember to repurpose your content always. And Melly's saying, do you think I need to add anything else? I added a privacy policy in the terms and conditions in the footer. Yeah. And make sure you get a lawyer to look at that. You can go to LegalZoom.com and talk to a lawyer for $30 for one call. It's a good deal. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then you wrote here, the vlog will be for the daily video tips I give to parents. Awesome. Awesome. And repurpose them too. Repurpose them. Yeah. And it's what Nintendo's been doing forever. They repurpose their older content, like the 8-bit, 16-bit, and 64-bit versions of Mario. Yeah. Daniel is saying, whether it's M&A or buyouts, why do private equity firms use special purpose vehicles, shell companies, to conduct the transactions? What are the benefits and differences between using them or not? Yeah. So an SPV or special purpose vehicle is usually done if you only want to invest in one company. And so the way it works is this. Hedge funds, or actually venture capital firms and private equity firms, what they usually do is they raise money and they charge a 2% management fee every year on the money they raised. And then they charge 20% incentive. So if you make $100, you only get $80. They get $20 of it. And the reason why they charge a 2% management fee is because they pay their employees, keep the lights on, but also because they have a diversified portfolio, right, to mitigate risk. Now, sometimes what happens is after a venture capital firm or a private equity firm raises a fund and they don't have enough money to invest in a certain company, what they'll do is they'll create what's called an SPV, which stands for a special purpose vehicle. And basically they'll raise money to invest in one company. And because that's not a diversified portfolio, these special purpose vehicles or SPVs usually have lower fees, like 1 in 10, meaning a 1% annual fee and a 10% incentive fee. Yeah, and I've done a lot of those, yeah. In terms of shell corporations, it all depends. Like I know that when I ran my hedge fund years ago, I had an offshore bank, an offshore portion of my hedge fund, and an onshore. It was what's called a master feeder, fed up into my LLC. And I used British Virgin Islands for my offshore BVI because it's a lot cheaper than the Cayman Islands. It's less prestigious, but I don't care. And so I had a lot of investors, especially from Europe and some from Canada, that invested in my offshore vehicle because for tax reasons, they could save a lot of money and they weren't subject to U.S. taxes. Now, you never give tax advice to anybody ever, 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 but you provide them with the flexibility to be able to invest onshore or offshore. Yeah. Daniel is saying, considering the times we're living in, what is your opinion on attempts to set virtual informational interviews? Do you give it a thumbs up? Absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody is doing this yet. And it's an opportunity, so you can't meet with people for coffee or tea. So what you can do is you can read my networking book or take my MBA degree program or my complete job course. But when I talk about in those courses, how to set up informational meetings, instead of saying, let's meet at a Starbucks, you could say, let me know if you have time, please, for a quick Zoom call or Skype call. And a lot of people already have their set up at home. And for my MBA degree students, next semester, I'm going to teach you how to set up a great and fun backdrop on the cheap as well. Yeah. But I totally think that you should start networking to do to informational meetings using Zoom. Yeah. And then Mercy, how are you? So Mercy is, she's from Victoria, west coast of Canada in British Columbia. And she's an expert in yoga. And she has a very high profile joint venture with Lululemon, which a lot of people don't realize is Canadian. And I wear Lululemon. Like a lot of people think it's only women wear it, but dude, it's awesome. Like there's these, like you get what you pay for, a little pricey sometimes, but I have a bunch of these, just my sweats below here. Yes, this is formal, but everything else is not. And Mercy's also in the process of writing a book on yoga. And she actually is teaching yoga now using Zoom. So we all have to adapt to these new digital realities. And those that adapt will be incredibly successful longer term. And those that don't will, they'll fall by the wayside. Yeah. Yeah. Great to have you. John Clee, it's been a while, brother. So John is from Rochester. And I always remember him because about a year and a half ago, he was on my webcast and he asked me, he said, who are your favorite Canadian comedians and global comedians? And every time I see his name, I think of John Cleese. So John Clee, great to have you. And you wrote, what is a capital structure? And why do some companies have different ones like eBay and Google? Yeah. So capital structure basically means it's like enterprise value. How much debt do you have versus equity, meaning the market cap? And so a lot of companies don't like to use debt that are very, very high growth because they're worried that if they can't pay that back, there might be some sort of default. But very cash-rich companies that have been around for a long time, they do use a lot of debt, especially because rates are basically zero now. So it's chacun son goût, to each their own. Yeah. I prefer equity. I really do. Yeah. I don't want any of my students to ever start companies with loans because banks are chicken. If you miss one payment, they can take everything. Yeah. All right. And Daniel is saying, can you explain the practical differences between a limited partnership and a limited liability partnership and their implications in private equity and how do the firms employ both structures? Yeah, sure. So a limited liability corporation is basically the company that owns all the assets. Okay, so it's the master company. So in private equity, let's say your firm is called Daniel Private Equity. So an LLC would own the company, meaning all the computers in your office, and has to pay salaries to the employees and stuff. Then what you have is you have investors in your fund, and those investors are called limited partners. They're kind of like a partner with you, but they're what they can tell you to buy and sell and how they influence you is limited. They're just investors. That's it. They can't tell you what to buy or sell. So that's a limited partner. Then you have general partners, GP, which are people that work at your company, your private equity firm, and they own part of the fund. They're general partners. Yeah. So hopefully that explains that. Yeah. All right. Next up is, hi, Chris. Hoping you and your family are okay. We're good. Thank you. I hope you and your family are great as well. I read your networking book. Very helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. How can we use LinkedIn? Yeah. So in the networking book, I talk about, towards the beginning, actually, how to network and get informational meetings using LinkedIn. Now, because you can't meet in person, because for obvious reasons, this awful global health crisis, you can actually do networking meetings over Zoom. And so instead of saying, per the book, the free networking book, instead of saying, let me know if you have time to meet for a coffee or a tea, just you can replace that with, please let me know if you have time for a quick Zoom call. Yeah. Or Skype call. Yeah. I need some coaching and point of views for career changing, but I can't invite people out for coffee. Yeah. He wrote, thanks, stay safe. Likewise. And Vipul knows. Vipul saying, good morning, Chris. Hope you and your family are healthy and safe. Likewise. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And then D'Angelo is saying, good morning, Chris. Likewise. Any tips for camera setup in Zoom to make it appear that two people are in the same room? We're trying to do this in my acting class. Oh, I love it. You wrote, I'm studying your video production masterclass as well. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So what we actually did was, if you watch the promotional trailer for that, there's one scene where you've got Steve in front of this wall here, actually, and then me in front of a brick wall, I think. And all we did was we filmed it in the same room with the same lighting with two different cameras. But if you want the backgrounds to look identical, it's hard. It's hard. Without using a green screen, it's tough. It's tough. You're gonna have to use the exact same f-stop on your camera. You have to use the same ISO, same shutter speed, and then the lighting has to be this. And you got the white balance has to be identical as well. And you might need to get a special white balance card, because cameras don't know the difference between color whites in different environments. Like white outside is a little bit different from white inside. So we actually even take to the next level because we use multiple cameras. My skin color has to be the same everywhere. So make sure that you have the same white balance set up on both. Okay. And it's usually, if you have a DSLR camera or higher end cinema camera, like I've got a couple of Canon C300 Mark IIs, you have to actually do custom white balance. And so I've actually got the white balance on all my cameras. And let me show you, actually. I'll show you how I do my little test run here. So I have the white balance on all of my cameras at 5400. Okay. And even the lighting, like a lot of people don't realize that the lighting color is important, really important from a Kelvin's perspective. And so there's something called the Kelvin scale. And I'll show you what that means right now with my lights. So right now, my lights, I actually have them set at 4,500 kelvins. Okay. And that basically means, how blue are they or how yellowish? That's what kelvins means. So let me change this around here. Hold on a second. Let me go here to kelvins. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. So I'm going to go all the way up to 5,000 kelvins. Okay. Or 6,000 actually. And that's a bluer tone to it. But it looks a little bit bluer, right? So you got to make sure the kelvins are the same as well. Let me go to a low Kelvin. So high kelvins, which is 6,000, is blue. It gets more yellowish or warm if you go to lower kelvins, which right here is 3,000, right? So I look a little bit like Bert or Ernie here. Yeah. So make sure that your kelvins are identical. Are identical. Let me just go back to where it was. and then make sure that the lighting is the same as well. And so the lighting, like it's really tough, but a lot of people like to have that dramatic look to it. Like let me do this. So only half of my face, and look at that camera in the top right there. You can see only half of my face is kind of lit up. The other one's kind of a little bit darker. It's got a nice look and feel to it, which looks awful in the top left-hand camera angle there. So make sure that the lighting all comes from the same place, right? The same side. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. And if you don't match the kelvins as well, then the background color will look different. And you can see here that I've got, like, my face in all these angles looks pretty similar. Pretty similar here. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough to perfectly match. And for people that do higher end video editing, they don't just use Final Cut or Premiere Pro. They use DaVinci Resolve. There is a massive science to color, which is why I have to always use this. And I record using 5 cameras usually, because I have different camera angles, and I try to make it cinematic and fun for my MBA degree students. But I've got this, and I have Velcro with a bunch of remote controls under here. But I have to hold this up to see that the colors, and it's tough for you all to see here, but that green, for example, looks the same shade of green in all cameras. And I have an overhead one that's not, you guys can't see anything there, but yeah. So anyway, there's a real science to it. There's a real science to it. And make sure you have the same type of lights as well. So if you're going to do it by the same brand of lights with the same settings. Yeah. It's tricky, but fun too. It's a challenge. All right. Next question is Jose is saying, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jose. Hope you're doing well, brother. Jose is he's from Venezuela originally. He now lives in Brooklyn with his wife and daughter. And he used to work in the oil rig market offshore. And then he now works in e-commerce payments. And he's awesome. He's great. He's one of my amazing students. Yeah. And so Jose is writing, God bless you all. What a great day to be alive. Let's learn new things. F&A too. I love it. I love your attitude, man. I love your attitude. All my students, Mercy, everybody in my MBA degree. It's the best. I've got the best students. And my students inspire me so much. It's great. We got a great group. And on the first day of the MBA degree program, and I have 158 students that are doing the platinum version. And we started last December. And it's 1 year. We started December 2nd. It's 1 year. And on the first day, when I set the ground rules, I said it's pass fail, because I want everybody to, I want people to be able to bond with each other. And I think that traditional business schools that have, forced grading curve, it creates a lot of sharks. So it's pass fail. And I also said in the first day, and I've got students from 41 countries. I have 158 students. I had 160, but 2 of them dropped out and got 100% money back in the first month. But on the first day, I also said, in terms of the ground rules, bullying will not be tolerated. I don't like extreme type A people. It's just, you know what I'm talking about. And thank goodness the group's been amazing. They've been great. I'm going to be sad when it's over. Yeah. Yeah. Next up, John Clee from Rochester, New York, in the Northeast United States, is saying, with cash being cheap and trillions of dollars from bailouts, is there any chance for inflation? The more money in the world, the higher prices, right? Yeah. Inflation only occurs if demand stays constant when prices, or demand goes up. And so demand right now for oil is the lowest it's ever been. It is, I can't believe it, that the price of oil, the futures, was pricing in minus $40 a barrel or whatever it is. Crazy. So that's incredibly deflationary, because oil is one of the biggest inputs into most manufacturing facilities. And even plastic. Like this is plastic. It's basically oil derivatives. So it's what's happening right now is deflationary because there's no demand. But if demand picks up a lot, and it will at some point, right? Things are never as bad as they seem, and things are never as good as they seem. But when demand picks up, then what will happen is the price of oil, of course, and other items will go up as well. And if demand is super, super high, then that means the economy is doing well. And that's when the government starts to raise interest rates. Why? Because if they raise interest rates, it will slow demand down a bit so that inflation, meaning prices going up, doesn't occur. And you always want to raise interest rates when things are awesome, so that you have bullets in your chamber from a monetary policy perspective to stimulate the economy, cutting rates. Problem is now rates are basically zero, can't go any lower. So what do? So you use fiscal policy, stimulus. And you can't raise taxes because everybody's cash flow poor now. You have stimulus packages, or as some people call it, steal from us packages. I'm not going to go there. But yeah. So yeah, I think inflation will only occur if demand picks up. But one of the reasons why oil had a negative price in the futures market, which is insanity, is because there's no demand. And so it costs you money to store oil. And so these big tankers, these big ships that store oil, they're kind of just sitting there in the Baltic Sea and other areas of the world, and it costs you a couple $100,000 every day to run them, in terms of the crew, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So I think the only time we'll see inflation is if demand picks up a lot, and when it does, then governments will raise interest rates. They have to. Yeah. Next question is Vangelis. Oh, welcome to the call. First time I've seen you here. I hope you join us again. I'm smiling because one of my favorite artists is Vangelis. And he actually did, and he can't read sheet music, actually. It's amazing. Kind of like Paul McCartney, he can't read sheet music. But Vangelis did the soundtrack for Blade Runner, the first one, which is awesome. I love it. He also did the soundtrack for Chariots of Fire. Yeah, he's wonderful. So Vangelis is saying, hello, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Likewise, I have two questions. Number one, can you share your thoughts of high-frequency trading, and has it affected your work in the past? Yeah. So high-frequency trading, and there's a great movie, a couple movies actually on this. It's basically when you trade very, very fast so that you can beat mutual funds and other money management accounts from trading. And you can kind of front run them with trades, but you got to have extremely high end fiber optic channel set up between you and the trading floor to do it. And then you have to have a lot of fantastic middleware software from companies like TIBCO in order to run circles around your competition. But there are legal issues as well, of which I just don't know much about them. But you might want to look into that as well. Yeah. Yeah, and it hasn't really affected me in my line of work because I'm so long-term focused anyway. You know, it's when Warren Buffett said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff and it goes on sale. And so I've been buying a bunch. Like a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I bought a bunch of Gilead, and I'll continue to buy. And if it feels uncomfortable when you're buying, that's a good thing. Because you got to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Because if you're buying the same stock that everybody loves, who's the incremental buyer to come in and push that stock higher? There's not many. And the converse is true, of course, when it comes to, buying stocks that are out of favor. I buy a lot of broken companies, or I buy a lot of broken stocks, but not broken companies. And high frequency trading has nothing to do with my investment philosophy because I'm so long-term focused anyway. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. Next question is, out of all the companies you've invested in, which are your top 3 favorites so far? Can you share a few reasons for each of them? No, it's a great question. I love it. Thank you. So I love to invest in platforms because if you own the road, the platform, you can charge the cars in toll booths. And so eBay was actually one of my favorite ones early on. I worked at Goldman Sachs in the fall of 1998 when the firm took eBay public. And I loved it because it's basically a platform. I don't own it anymore because Pierre Omidyar is no longer there, and he's the brilliant founder. I don't invest in tech companies when the founder is not there anymore. I think they're awful investments because innovation dies and bureaucracy sets in. And nobody wants to innovate because if you're not successful, you're fired. And if you are successful, most of the time you're not going to get paid what you're worth. And a lot of executives in big companies, they all they care about is making the next level and climb the corporate ladder. And if they take a risk with a new product and they fail, they're done. They're done. So eBay was definitely one of them. And I'll never forget Pierre Omidyar was right by the trading floor at Goldman Sachs in the fall of 1998 when I was working there. And Meg Whitman was there too. She was kind of like adult supervision, the CEO at the time. And Pierre Omidyar, the founder of eBay, his girlfriend was with him. And the second the first trade went through on the trading floor when we took them public, or Goldman Sachs did when I was there, I was a grunt. The second the first trade went through, what Pierre Omidyar did was he took his girlfriend and he kissed her, and the traders went nuts. It was awesome. It was awesome. So that's one. I'm very passionate about platforms, though. They're the best investments. Another investment of mine, a great one, was LinkedIn. And it broke my heart when Microsoft bought them. Because I thought LinkedIn at one point was going to have the highest market cap in the world because it's a great platform with no competition. No competition. Yeah. So there's that. Aside from that, let me think. I guess Facebook, and I invested when I had my own company, my own venture capital company. I invested in Facebook when it was private. And that was a great investment because that was a platform as well. I'm not, from a politics perspective, I don't think I can ever comfortably own that stock again, just given what's happened with Cambridge Analytica, et cetera. Yeah. But in all those instances, there's one commonality, which is a platform. If you own the road, then you can charge the cars and the toll booths. Yeah. And that's why I love Udemy as well. I'm not an investor in Udemy, but Udemy is Google and everyone else's Bing when it comes to EdTech. It's the quintessential education technology platform company. It's amazing. And they just raised, I think it's like a month or two ago, another $50 million, which increased the valuation of the company from $700 million to $2 billion. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a $1 trillion company one day. Yeah. All right. Oh, I love coffee. It's so good, man. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't use tobacco. But I love coffee. I love it. I love it. And I only got like 3 hours sleep last night, which is rare for me. Usually I get 7 to 8 hours. I worked out with Andrew, my son, late in the day. And big mistake because I can't sleep if I do weights late at night. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't give a damn. I got to bond with them and I can't get that time back. Thank you, Vangelis. Welcome to the call, and I love your questions. Thank you. Daniel is saying private equity firms usually have a negative connotation, like from movies, Tony Shark, etc. That's right. Tony Shark is the character I made up from Shark Virtual Reality, if you guys aren't familiar with them. And then you wrote Gordon Gekko-esque firms that buy companies, fire employees, and dismantle companies. Is that the nature of the business? Yeah. Yeah. And so for those of you not familiar with Gordon Gekko, it's a reference to an Oliver Stone movie from 1987 called Wall Street, where Michael Douglas got an Academy Award for Best Actor. I'm a fraud. This is not real. It's just a prop. Thank you. So I don't think they're all sharks. Like sometimes they, Hollywood loves to make things look really, really dramatic, and television shows too, like Billions. Although Billions is pretty damn accurate, and I know exactly who the people are that they're trying to profile. It's great. So the hedge fund stuff in Billions, yes, it makes sense. Yes, everything about it. I think it's Stevie Cohen they're going after, who's a criminal and should be in jail. But the whole district attorney side of Billions TV show it's far fetched. With Giamatti's his name, and it's so funny because this baseball here is actually Bartlett Giamatti. He was the president of Major League Baseball, who's Paul Giamatti's uncle, actually. Yeah. But I think a lot of private equity firms, what they do is they're just investors. They buy companies and bring in new managers. They don't necessarily fire everybody. And if you haven't seen the movie Other People's Money, or OPM, with Danny DeVito, you got to see it. It's great. But like all typical Hollywood movies, the rich dude's a schmuck and loses at the end. It's true. Think about it. Every Hollywood movie ever. Please give me an example if you can think one. I can't. The rich person is bad or a schmuck. Yeah. Since when did it become a crime to be successful in America? And that's a quote from the TV show Billions. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And Evangelos wrote, keep up the great content. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love your questions, and welcome to the call. And I'm going to smile every time I see you because I'll think of the brilliant musician Vangelis. Yeah. And if you haven't listened to the soundtrack for Chariots of Fire, you have to listen to it. And if you haven't listened to the soundtrack for Blade Runner, it's a little out there actually. If you're a techie or a nerd like I am, you'll love that as well. Yeah. And then looks like Jose is talking to Dangel. And I love when you guys talk to each other. It's fantastic. But I usually don't read those out loud. Yeah. But please keep doing that. Yeah. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Thanks. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Jose is saying he was saying great alarm, which is my ringtone is Radioactive by Imagine Dragons, and y'all got to get your own ringtones that fire you up, whatever it is. Get them here. It's a quick pick me up. If you have a ringtone and a song that gets you in a good mood, it's a tiny $1 investment to get you into a peak mental state. Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah. All right. Next up is Salad is saying, what are the best resources to understand bonds and debt markets? Yeah. So I think the best resource is the Financial Times. And so the Financial Times, and I'll go there with you. It's kind of like the Wall Street Journal, but it's more global. Like kind of like the BBC is more global than CNN, fake news, or maybe it's real news. Just kidding. So if you go here to ft.com, and you have to pay for it, but I'm going to show you how to get it free, which is why I'm never sponsored by anybody. Yeah. Oh no, that's too bad. Yeah, Gilead job. But when you go here, what you do is I want you to look for articles about foreign exchange and banks and stuff, and bonds, and read them. So, for example, right here, Netflix secures its lowest cost debt after ECB boost, right? And so that has to do with fixed income and bonds, and currency. So if you click on this, watch what happens. It says, hey man, you got to pay. You got to pay. I'm like, screw you, I don't want to pay. So what you can do is this. You take this here, you copy, okay, just copy. Then you go into a new incognito window, okay, so that nobody can track you. Okay, and then you paste this, and lo and behold, this is FT. When you click here, you can read it, except something I didn't read. But here's the article, right? So you can read this now. And the reason why that works is for SEO reasons, or search engine optimization. If the FT did not allow this to work on Google, then nobody would ever search and find FT stuff. So that's what I recommend. And you can also sign up for my MBA degree program if you want. We talk a lot about this, about fixed income and bonds and all that good stuff. Yeah, with real examples. Yeah. All right. And then Jose is saying, Chris, how do you put the closed captions on your promotional videos? Like those captions that are trending online for promotion on Instagram and every social media platform. Yeah. So I work with a number of companies when it comes to captions. So the big one I work with is rev.com. And so let me show you what I've done here. And for the platinum version of the program, and all versions actually, you have this included, captions. So this is my MBA degree program here. And I'll show you just an example here of captions and how it's set up. So let me actually preview this, and I'll show you the captions here. Okay. So the way it works is when you have captions, and I have to play this for you guys. I have to. Okay, here I go. This is a little excerpt from my MBA degree program, and I'm going to get rid of myself, but I'll show you captions later on this one. Let me just play this. Hold on 1 second. I've got to go there. It's a case study that we're doing, and I want you guys to laugh at me and not with me, please. So give me a second. All right, hold on. This is it. This is the big one. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is topic 3 of 3. Hello, my name is Bob Burgundy from Haroun News Network, that's HNN, and I've got breaking news for you. It looks like technology behemoth Apple is trying to buy Nintendo. Breaking news, breaking news. I don't know if the deal will go through. I have to ask a number of our strategic advisors here to help us out to find out if this deal in fact will go through. And so the first strategic advisor that I want to ask is an expert in economics management and strategy. He works at a consulting firm called McKinsey, and his name is Chip Patterson. Chip, what are your thoughts? Yes, thank you, Bob, for that introduction. This is an extraordinary deal, and I think it might make sense, but I'm not really sure yet. And so here at McKinsey and Company, we pride ourselves in advising the most incredible companies and government agencies in the world. And so by the end of this MBA degree program, my fellow classmates here will help me to analyze if this extraordinary deal makes a lot of sense or not. Thank you, and cheerio. Thank you, Chip. The next expert we're going to ask is a finance and accounting expert who works at an investment bank called MHS, Morgan Haroun Sachs. His name is Gordon Lizard. Gordon, what are your thoughts on this deal? Thanks, Bob. I really appreciate it, So here at Morgan Haroun Sachs, MHS actually, we're going to do a really deep dive to understand the financial statements of, Nintendo and Apple. And I pride myself on being an amazing investment banker. And we're actually going to have a lot of my fellow students here during the Haroon Education Ventures MBA degree program help me to build out the financials. And don't worry, I know a lot of us don't understand how finance and accounting works, but we will by the end of this MBA degree program. In fact, here's what we're going to do, We're going to figure it all out together. We're going to create the financial model, meaning the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, etc., for Nintendo as well as for Apple. And it's a bit complicated because Nintendo's an international company, and so their financial statements are a little bit different from Apple, but we're going to figure it out, And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to value the company using discounted cash flow, as well as price earnings multiple, price to revenue, and other metrics as well. And so that by the end of this MBA degree program, we will know how much Apple should potentially pay for Nintendo. Thanks, Bob. Back to you. Thank you, Gordon. Our next expert is somebody that knows a lot about sales, marketing, and communication, and his name is Stephen Ive. Stephen, you work at Apple. What are your thoughts on this deal?
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Thanks. It's going to be important for me to convince our board and shareholders to approve of the deal. And I'm not much of a presenter, but I know that a lot of my fellow students here in the Haroon Education Ventures MBA degree program are going to be able to help me to learn how to present much better in the SMC classes, that's sales, marketing, and communication classes, so that they'll give me advice, and together we'll be able to learn how to present to the board of Apple and the shareholders to convince them to the deal makes sense or if it doesn't. Thank you, Bob. Back to you.
Thank you, Stephen. Our next expert is an entrepreneurship expert named Tony Shark. Now, Tony was about to sign an exclusive contract with Apple for his virtual reality goggles and his company, Shark Virtual Reality. Tony, is this deal still going through for you, or because Nintendo has a great VR product, does Apple no longer need you, Tony? And what are you going to do about this?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So I was supposed to sign this exclusive contract with Apple for my, Shark virtual reality goggles. I think our product is a lot better than Nintendo's. And in the entrepreneurship track of this MBA degree program, my fellow students and I are going to work on a way to sell this product to Apple. And so this product's amazing. There's a hardware component to it, which has low margins. And then there's a software component to it with media, which is where you stream it, and it's really high margins. We got a great product here, much better than anybody else in the market. And so, last thing I'll say, Bob, and thanks again for having me on your show, is that by the end of this MBA degree program, my fellow classmates and I will be armed with this, and we'll have what it takes to be able to succeed in business and take our careers to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Our next guest is somebody off the street here, a random person I just met whose goal is to work at Apple. I want to ask you, from a personal growth perspective, how do you think you can get a job at Apple? So this guy's name here is Joe Jobs. How are you going to get that job?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Bob. I really appreciate it. So my dream has always been to work at Apple, and I think I got what it takes. And I know that my fellow classmates and I in this Haroon Education Ventures MBA degree program, in the personal growth classes, we're going to learn just a ton so that we can all get the job of our dreams. We'll learn how to interview and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to getting a lot of help from my fellow classmates so that we can get that dream job. I think I got what it takes. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Joe. Well, there you have it. We talked to 5 experts who are going to help us understand how this deal is structured, if this deal will go through and whatnot. And by the end of this Haroon Education Ventures MBA degree program, you will all be armed with enough skills to understand from 5 different perspectives whether or not this deal makes sense. And those 5 perspectives are as follows: economics, management, and strategy, sales, marketing, and communication, entrepreneurship, personal growth, and finance and accounting. I'm Bob Burgundy, signing out here from Haroon News Network, HNN. All right. A little crazy, I know, but I don't care. I had fun with that. So what we did was the captions, we actually used rev.com for that. And all the captions are actually, they're advanced captions. I paid a bunch to get this done. Let me show you another. I'm not going to go through a whole lesson here, but I'll show you captions here. Hold on a second. Yeah. So right here, you see captions. So let me actually get rid of my face. You can actually see the captions. All right, the absent-minded professor. So right here are the captions. So you can click here and turn them on, and this works on all devices. And so it'll look like this here, and I'll just turn this on. All right, hold on. Yeah, so I turn. Why it will help them out tremendously. Okay, and the only reason. Okay, I turn the volume off now, but if you click down here on closed caption, you can actually search the video here, right? So it's all done this way for people with English as a second language, or if people just want to read through, or if you want to do a search. So watch this. If I search for the word Google, do I mention the word Google? I do. So there's 7 instances of the word Google, as you can see up here. So if you click this, watch what happens here. We're at 32 seconds. If I click here, you jump to 228 directly in that video right here where we're talking about Google. So that's how we've used advanced closed captions there in all lessons for the MBA degree program. Now, in terms of my Instagram ones, my Instagram videos, I'm working with a guy named Jean Marco in Toronto. And he's amazing, and he does all that stuff, and he's really helped us to take our vlogs to the next level. It's been a lot of fun. So he's amazing. He's amazing. One of the best people I've ever worked with too. Incredible. Yeah. All right. Next question. Saud is saying, what are the best resources to understand derivatives? So similar to my answer earlier on fixed income, I actually want you to go to the FT as well. And anytime you see something that deals with calls, options, forward market swaps, etc., I want you to read that article in the FT. And the great thing about the FT and doing that strategy is that it's not academic. It's real world stuff, and so you can learn by reading pertinent news events. And you can always take my courses as well, which help. Yeah. All right, next question is Saud is saying, can you please explain the differences between Brent and WTI? Sure. So Saud is asking about oil. And so there's different types of oil. So there's Brent crude, and then there's WTI. And WTI stands for West Texas Intermediary. intermediate, I should say. And so that's obviously oil from West Texas, and it's sweeter. Like I don't know why people say it's sweeter. Some idiot probably tasted it and said, oh, it's sweet, and then he died, and it's sweeter oil. That's what they say. But it trades at a discount. It's not as good as oil from other places. Okay, so it trades at a $4 to $5 discount usually to Brent crude. Now, Brent crude is basically a sample of 15 different types of oils from the North Sea area and other areas close to that. And it's a little bit better, which is why it trades at a $4 to $5 premium to WTI oil. Yeah. All right. And then Daniel's saying, what are you more into, Marvel or Star Wars? Definitely, without a doubt, Star Wars. Yeah, I love Star Wars. I just bought a big Millennium Falcon Lego thing, and Christine almost had a heart attack, my wife. But I said, listen, honey, we're supposed to go to vacation. We canceled, the March break vacation. So this is my way of bonding with the kids. And she said, well, Chris, on the box, it says 16 and up. And none of your kids are 16 or up. I was like, no. If you take the average of Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my three boys, let me show you my kids actually. Ugh. So if you take the, it's right here, hold on. Here it is, yeah. I said, Christine, if you take the average age of Andrew, Matthew, and Dylan and me, it's over 16 years old. And let me show you another picture here of the kids a little bit closer. Yeah. So here they are. They're like sons to me, really. So I've got Andrew, Matthew, and Dylan, right? So Matthew, Andrew, Dylan, Mad, M-A-D, or Dam, D-A-M. Dad humor, I'm sorry. But anyway, that's and this was a couple of years ago that they were a bit younger. But anyway, they're healthy, thank God. Thank God. And they're all doing school from home. And it's very controversial here in California because what they just decided for high school, and Andrew, my son, is in high school, public school. I don't believe in private schools. But what's happening is grades this year are now pass fail. And so Andrew had, straight A's and maybe 1B, whatever. And so a lot of parents are pissed off about this. It's a really contentious issue, and there are lawsuits happening here, and we know the lawyers on one side of it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't really have, I believe in pass fail anyway. It's just my philosophy, so I'm staying out of that. But my kids are here learning from home, kind of like your kids and kids all over the world, and they have Chromebooks, yeah. So they know that they cannot be playing Fortnite though when I am doing this live webcast. Yeah. And so they ping me a million times and say, Daddy, is it over yet? Is it over yet? No, just go study, kid. Yeah. Yeah. No, I like Star Wars a lot better. Right here. And you'll see that in the trailer to my MBA degree program, there's a Star Wars theme to it. And the music that we licensed, and I bought it, and we had it actually made. It sounds Star Wars-ish, like John Williams, but John Williams, I said, but a little bit different for I don't want to get sued. Yeah. I'm covered. We're good. But I used to watch the Avengers when I was a kid, and that was Saturday morning cartoon, something kids will never know these days. And it was great because the networks had an agreement with parents, so parents could sleep in on Saturdays and we watched cartoons. Yeah. All right. And Bharat is saying, hello, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Mohammed in the house. Mohammed is saying, do you have financial aid for your MBA program? I do. And if you want financial aid, just email me, please, at chris@haroonventures.com. chris@haroonventures.com. Yeah. And actually for my MBA degree students, the 158 students I have doing the whole platinum 1-year program, a lot of them were paying on a payment plan. And the second this outbreak started in March, really started hurting a lot of people financially. I waived all fees and said, for my current students, I don't want your money. It's not good here. Take your money and invest it, please, in local charities to fight this terrible virus. Yeah. But just send me an email at chris@haroonventures.com, and then yeah. You have to ask. You'll never get anything in life unless you ask. And one of my students actually asked me for a job. And so I gave it to him. Yeah. My MBA degree program students. He starts tomorrow. Okay, next is Sudeep, who's saying, why did you change your investing strategy from value to growth investing? Yeah. So I think a lot of people that, like, when you learn about how to invest in school, you're kind of taught buy things that are cheap and then sell them when they're expensive. And it's very theoretical. And I respect both value and growth investors. However, I pride myself, and I made money by investing longer term. And so when somebody says to me, and they used to say, Chris, you're crazy. LinkedIn is over 100 times earnings when it was publicly traded and I was an investor in it. And I would say, no, it's not. And they're like, yes, it is. It's 100 times earnings. Look at it. I'm like, no, it's 4 times my earnings estimate in 5 years. And so I don't look at earnings for this year or next year. You know, I don't know the path, but I know the destination. And so as a growth investor, I just look out longer term. And so when I was in school, I was taught, only invest in stuff with low PEs. But that's wrong, because everyone else is looking at the same metrics. You got to look out longer term. Be very, very long-term focused. And I just happen to be a nerd. I love technology. I always have. You can totally tell I'm a nerd. And when I was younger, I used to collect comics, and people will say you're a nerd. And then movies started coming out, like comic movies, like whatever, Marvel stuff. And they're like, oh, you're kind of a nerd. And now it's like, hey, man, can you score me a ticket to Comic-Con? Yeah. So, but I'm a nerd. I love technology, and that I love investing in technology companies too. Right. And I've got the Dark Knight right there. It's kind of dark, so you can't see them that well. Yeah. All right. And then Jose, who lives in Brooklyn from Venezuela originally, is saying it's funny because I got a Canon, or I got a Canon in D from Pachelbel as my iPhone alarm. Okay, awesome. I thought you were referring to the camera first. No, I love that. I love it. It's soothing. Yeah, and I like Chopin a lot. His nocturnes a lot. Yeah, and Handel. He's got a good grip on music. Sorry, no more dad humor. And you wrote, you've got that Canon D from Pachelbel as your iPhone alarm because that song reminds me when I got married with my wonderful wife. It was a great day for us. That song brings us a lot of joy. Oh, I love it. And I guess for us, it was a song by The Verve when we got married in 2000, or maybe it was Beautiful Day by U2. I can't remember. But that's great, man. That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that. I love it. And I'm kind of embarrassed, but I got the idea for a ringtone from Mark Wahlberg, who's a stand-up guy, from Mark Wahlberg in the movie Ted. I watched Ted Part 1, Part 2, and I cried laughing. Like, I really cried laughing at those movies. But the ringtone that he has for his wife in that movie is a very sinister song from Star Wars. And she got upset when she heard it. And that gave me the idea to create a ringtone that inspires me. Yeah. Next up is Peter. Hey, Peter, who's saying, what do you think about the Theranos scandal? How could so many esteemed investors and titans of industry get it so wrong by giving Elizabeth Holmes a gargantuan sums of money? Yeah, that's a great question. So for those who are not familiar with Theranos, what happened was it was the hottest biotech startup or healthcare startup here in the Bay Area. And basically it was a way to test your blood to see what issues you'll have or sicknesses you might have at a much cheaper and faster way to do it. And she was, and I'm not going to justify what she did, but I'm going to kind of explain it from her perspective. And there's a great documentary on HBO on this. But what Elizabeth did was she was really, really influenced by Thomas Edison. And Thomas Edison, by the way, was a crook. You know, what he did to Nikola Tesla is just unconscionable. But what Elizabeth Holmes did was she was really influenced by Edison. And Edison, basically, he would lie to people saying that he had a product that was ready. And he would kind of pre-sell that product. And then he was like, shoot, I got to make it now. I told him I have it ready. I got to put pressure on myself to get it done. And it's no coincidence that Elizabeth Holmes' product, her flagship product at the time, was called the Edison. The Edison, right? So, but there's certainly a lot of unethical activity occurring there. But she was an excellent salesperson, and I think that's one of the many reasons why a lot of people invested in her. Yeah, but it was crazy. I don't think she's in jail now. I think she probably should be for defrauding people, but I don't think she is. All right, Tiger Glow. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is Cassandra from Florida, right? Yes, Cassandra, it has been about a year and a half. My goodness, I haven't heard from you in ages. How are you? It's great to have you back. Great to have you back. We missed you. And so Tiger Glory, Cassandra is saying, hi, Chris, I missed you. Likewise. Are these good times to buy a home, or should we wait longer? The bank interest is low, and it makes your monthly payments almost as big as the monthly mortgage payment. Yeah. Great to have you back. Yeah. So I think it is a great time, only because nobody is thinking that. And so my wife and I, we just bought a building in Southern Ontario by the University of Western Ontario, because education is countercyclical. People are still going to go to school, when the economy sucks. So we bought it and we got a great financing package on that building. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. So, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great to have you back. And then Tiger is saying, the fact that everybody gets a stimulus from printed money tells me that we are heading for disaster. Comments on that are greatly appreciated. All the best. Yeah. No, yeah, the worst investment you can ever make is cash. Always, because you have no control over how much the government's going to make of it. And it's really unfair because you and I work so hard to make money, and somebody else, some other entity, can dilute our net worth by printing a lot more of it. So, I am worried. I'm a very positive person, which is why whenever there's a crisis, a business crisis, I view it as an opportunity, and I have been buying a lot. And I'll continue to do so. But no, I think one byproduct of all of this, aside from the awful fact that people are passing away, but one byproduct that really worries me is the fact that we're giving up our civil liberties, and we might not get them back ever. Like one of the many things I love about America is its land of extremes, extreme opinions as well, right? It's a good thing. It's a double-edged sword sometimes. But I think if we get to a point where too many civil liberties are taken away from us, there will be a lot of people speaking up about this, and their voice will be heard. But what I worry about with other countries is that once this terrible dilemma is over, they might not get back all the freedoms. And it's disgusting what's happened in some countries, and my students have told me about this, and I'll never single them out. But in a lot of countries, people are getting beaten for going outside. And my brother in Canada, and obviously Canada's a very peaceful place, and I'm very proud to be Canadian. But my brother, he can't go to the cottage. Canada has 20% of all freshwater lakes in the world, and my brother has a beautiful cottage and a beautiful family. But if he goes to the cottage, he's fined. If he gets into a car and there's more than one person, you're fined $150 by the OPP. Yeah, you know me. The OPP is Ontario Provincial Police, or the Ontario Party Poopers, as they shut down many of my parties growing up. But my brother said that if he drives to the cottage, he has to pay $750 in fines there and $750 in fines on the way back. I think it's noble what governments are doing, trying to protect all of us. However, I want us all to make sure that our civil liberties are returned to us. It's kind of like after 9/11, there was the Patriot Act. And I do think the U.S. government did a fantastic job of protecting us from terrorism, because there hasn't been another notable event on U.S. soil since. However, with the Patriot Act, we gave up a lot of civil liberties. And I'm worried this is happening again. And I think America will be fine just because of all the checks and balances here. But I do worry that some countries will start going more left wing, and that's a dangerous thing, giving up your civil liberties forever. So that's what really does worry me. I'm definitely more of a positive person, Cassandra, when it comes to life. But that's something I do worry about a lot. I think some countries people won't be free. People are being beaten in some countries with sticks. If they step outside, it's deadly. It's deadly. So, and I don't know how we get out of this. I really don't. I think the saving grace is if a company, a biotech company, comes up with a cure, and God willing that comes soon, man. Because with this coronavirus, you can get sick, and recover, and then you can get sick again with the same virus. And that means if you're older, and if you get sick multiple times, there's no way you're going to make it. It's sad. And I think the only saving grace now is if a biotech company somewhere in the world comes up with a solution. We need like a new Louis Pasteur or somebody to find a solution. And whoever that is going to be a rock star and will be sainted everywhere in the world, become a saint. So I think that a lot of resources should go to that. I don't think that biotech or healthcare companies should pay any taxes this year, next year, or the year after. And I believe they should all get massive grants from governments to find a solution. Yeah. We're all in this together. Yeah. Okay. And Daniel's, welcome back, Cassandra. Great to have you back. And I hope you're doing well down there in Florida. And I love Florida for the tax code and the politics too. Whoops. Yeah. Please bring me your tax code. And Tony Robbins used to live here in California, but he left because the taxes are insanely high. He lives, as you know, in West Palm Beach now. Yeah. All right. Speaking of Tony Robbins, what is your opinion on Tony Robbins and his teachings? I'd like to hear your thoughts on Tony's make on mutual funds. What do you think of his plans for achieving financial freedom? Thanks. Yeah. So I think that Tony actually, I think we have the same investment philosophy when it comes to mutual funds being a scam. A mutual fund, the fees are way too high. It's a scam. It really is. And for more details on that, just do a search on my YouTube vlog for mutual fund scams, because I really do think they're criminal. What they're charging us in terms of fees, not unethical, whatever. It's just high fees. That's all it is. Maybe I shouldn't have said the word criminal, but check that out. But in general, I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. He changed my life. I've met him, and he invested in one of my companies, and he's a good dude. One-on-one, he's got a heart of gold, man. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being. He really is. And I think a much better investment than taking any of my courses is going to Tony Robbins' event called UPW, Unleash the Power Within. That'll change your life. It changed mine, actually. What I did was in 2015, I went to Unleash the Power Within in Los Angeles. One of my wonderful clients, investors, named Michael Bressler. Great guy. He's one of the top guys at JP Morgan now. Good dude. But he had an extra ticket. He said, "You want to come?" I was like, "Hell yeah." And so I went to it, and there's 10,000 people, I think, in the Staples Center, some convention center, in 2015. And, Tony had us write down our goals and all that great stuff. But it changed me. It changed me because and I did walk across those boiling hot fire coals in bare feet. And I didn't feel a damn thing because he conditioned us not to feel it. And I didn't feel it. But that night, it was a Saturday night, when I went back to my Airbnb room, I had to take like 5 or 6 Advil. It was crazy because the blister, it hurt a lot. But whatever, I'm glad I did it. It's good hurt. But on the Sunday night of that 4-day event, what Tony Robbins did was he made us write down our goals and commit to something. And one goal in particular and a deadline date. And so for me, it was for years, I was writing this book of mine called The 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School. And so I wrote, okay, I'll give myself 3 weeks to get it done. And I flew back that Sunday night, and I went into work. And around noon, I was like, guys, I told my partners, my venture capital firm, I'm just not feeling it. I'm going to go home. They're like, okay, man, I hope you're okay. And and I wrote. It was like my Jerry Maguire moment. I wrote for 2 days, 2 or 3 days straight. I couldn't sleep. And then it got published and got picked up by Forbes magazine as, I'm humbled to say, one of 6 books all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book, Stephen Covey's book, etc., Simon Sinek. And it changed me because it really forced me to reassess my life and my career trajectory and just what I want to do and what I'm passionate about. And without that event, I wouldn't be sitting here getting to know all of you right now. Yeah. And the way that Tony Robbins kind of got started, I've listened to a bunch of his programs over the years, is he read like 800 of the best self-help books in the world. And then his program is kind of a combination of all that stuff. And then he created his own content and everything. And he's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah. He's great. Yeah. All right. Next up is Sudeep is saying, which strategy do you think is best for early 20s investor who needs money after many years? Okay. Value or growth. Okay. Many, many years. Okay. I think growth. And so when you're younger, you can take more risks. And so the rule of thumb for private wealth managers used to be this, and this is kind of dated. You take the number 100 and then you minus your age. So if you're 20, 100 minus 20 is 80. So 80% of your investment should be in growth investments, slightly riskier, and 20% in lower risk investments. If you're 75 years old, then 100 minus 75 is 25. So 25% of your investment should be in higher risk growth investments and 75% in lower risk, because you might not have as many years left to get, to recoup that. Although I do think that many people on this call today will live to 150 at least. Yeah. All right. Next up, Daniel is saying, as always, thank you very much, Chris, for providing us with this window to speak with you and pick your brain. My pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun. All right, cool. So unfortunately, a lot of questions I'm not going to be able to answer. And so if you're one of my MBA degree students, our MBA office hours, MBA students only office hours starts today at 11:15 a.m. And then we do one-on-ones. You can ask me again during those sessions. Or what you can do is, if you're not an MBA degree student of mine, you can just copy the questions and paste and ask me next week. But I'll go through as much as I can. This call is supposed to be 3 hours. It's supposed to end at 11. I'll push it a bit further, maybe to like 11:05 or 11:10. But I do have to run for my MBA students only office hours. All right. Next up is Gregory. Gregory, how are you? Gregory is you're from Switzerland? I can't remember, but I remember every time I see your name, I smile because I think of that awesome British actor who plays an American named Gregory in that TV show Succession, which is the best business TV show program there is out there right now. Great acting, especially by the father. Yeah. So Greg is writing, hello, Chris. Hello, Call. I hope everyone is okay. Likewise. Dolly in the house. Dolly is saying, hello, Chris. Hope you are doing great. Likewise. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you can join us again. Thank you. Ramon is saying, I've read some articles suggesting to replace business plan with business model canvas, but I personally think that they should go hand in hand. What's your take on this? So I don't know. Like I created my own business plan methodology using Excel, and I have a course on it, and my MBA students are getting a higher end version of that. I've heard people mention Canvas. I haven't looked into it. I don't really have an opinion. Yeah. And when I research stuff for my courses, I just do it from here, directly from here. Yeah. Which it works sometimes it doesn't. But I pride myself on just thinking differently. Yeah. Which is why I despise theory. Yeah. Shubham is saying, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. Likewise. I've taken your networking course and also your book. Do you recommend that I read the book first or go ahead with the course? I'd read the book first. Yeah. And for those of you that want the networking book, it's free. You just go to HaroonEducation.com and you can download it there. Thank you. El Muri is saying, hi, Chris. Stella sent me here. I'm from Finland. Happy to be here. Stella's the best, dude. And El Muri, welcome. welcome with open arms, open arms. So Stella is one of my amazing MBA degree students. And let me just do a shout out here for Stella. So if we go to my website here, and then we'll click just this link here. So Stella is incredible. Her attitude is so infectiously positive. And so here she is right here. And she wrote a great review as well. And her LinkedIn profile is off the charts. It's amazing. It's amazing. No, she's wonderful. She's wonderful. Yeah. So welcome to the call. Double high fives to you. And Shuan is saying, what are your strategies to be confident in a sales pitch? Thank you for all you do, Chris. You're a role model. No, thank you. I appreciate that. So it's kind of like earlier in today's call, you might want to rewind it to one of the first questions, which is about public speaking and how to boost your confidence. You gotta tell yourself that I just don't care what people think. And I have to show you my cheesy fromage keychain right here. Hopefully it works. It says right here underneath Superman, confidence is key. And the way to become very confident is to tell yourself, I just don't give a damn what anybody thinks of me. I just don't care. That's the way you got to be. So you got to go in with that mindset of I don't care. And you have to go in with the mindset of you are a thought leader. You are going to put a dent in the universe. You are going to make a difference. And everybody's wrong and you're right. Because you're going to get rejected a lot with your business plan. Everybody does. But as Mark Cuban said, you got to remember that you only have to be right in business one time. So just be resilient. And don't give a damn if you keep getting rejected over and over and over again. It's like dating. And I shouldn't be giving dating advice because my wife's way over my league and I suck at it. But if you ask 3 people out and that's it, you'll never get married. If you ask 100 people out, you'll find your soulmate. And the pain of getting rejected many times is tiny compared to the pleasure. But yeah, you just got to be resilient. You got to be a pit bull and a pork chop. And know that you just have to be right one time, meaning you have to win over investors one time in one meeting. I've met with sophisticated investors all over the world, and I've failed over and over and over again. And that's why I succeed, or at least MJ does, Michael Jordan. I'm not in the same camp as him, please. Yeah. Or even like J.K. Rowling. I mean, she failed a gazillion times. 30 publishers said no to her. And finally, the 31st said yes. You just got to be resilient and not give a damn what anybody thinks of you. It's a game of numbers. Okay. And then Fred is saying, hello, Chris. Thank you for sharing your excellent knowledge. You're most welcome. Thank you, Fred. First time I've seen you on the call, and I hope you join us again. Thank you. Dolly has a question. What does balance mean to you in your life? All these years of experience, which you've gained and are gaining, how different human quotients have for balance and how? Yeah. So for me, I schedule each day, and I've got 2 versions of a daily schedule. One is for my MBA degree. One is for my MBA degree students. This one, which I have many different file format versions, and then there's this one here for non-MBA students. But I schedule each day, and you can download this. All you have to do is go to Haroon Education right here. Good, and then / all lowercase schedule. That's how they say it in England. All lowercase schedule. And what you can do is you can download this schedule here. It's free download. I don't even ask for email or anything. Yeah, and it's just PowerPoint. It's trying to open. I think I can. Here we go. Good. Yeah. So this is what it looks like. And so the way for you to become balanced is to do, see if we're still recording. Good. Do daily goal setting, right? And so you can download this from harooneducation.com/schedule, all lowercase. And so I schedule each day ahead of time. It's for me, balance includes, this is just me putting God first, then family and diet and all that stuff. And also, did I do weights? Did I get 20,000 steps in, which you and I both know means 10,000? And other things like I'm opening up here. Wash my face twice a day. Otherwise, it's disaster. Even at my age. Yeah. And just other work stuff. And I put this just as a caveat. You can change this around and print this out daily and schedule time for family dinner here for 4 hours, which means 2 hours. Elliptical trainer. I have a used elliptical trainer in the garage. It's great because I work while I do that, and it works on every muscle group. It's like cross-country skiing. And then what I do is, and I have to scroll out because I might be covering it with my face in the corner. I score myself here, out of 100%. How did I do that day? And so rinse, lather, repeat. When I wash my face at night, I fill this out and I leave this by my I have the higher end version, but I leave this by my sink. So it's the first thing I see in the morning. And yeah, that's how I maintain balance. It's not easy when you're running your own company though, to do so, but you got to make sure that you take off 1 day a week and just focus on family. You really got to do that because our forefathers and foremothers, they've known since the beginning of time that you can burn out. And even God rested on the seventh day. He didn't have to, but he kind of did it to basically tell all of us, dude, take a day off every week or you'll burn out. You'll burn out. And I'll never forget this. When I worked at Goldman Sachs, I had this client at Manulife named Rhonda Chang. Rhonda's awesome. And she told me, Chris, the second you get back from vacation, I want you to open your calendar, look out 6 months, and then book your next vacation. Otherwise, you'll burn out. And that is balance. Yeah. All right. And Bharat is saying, hi, Chris. I'm Bharat from India. Nice to see you here. Likewise. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And so I've got students in every country. About 27% now are United States. It keeps going down. Then I've got 11% Egypt. And then just under 11% is India. Yeah. And what I did was I actually gave away 1 million courses, free courses for everybody in the month of March. I did it because I thought to myself, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And so what I did was I thought about what can I do to get people's minds off this craziness and just keep them at home and not outdoors. And that's why I gave away over 1 million courses. And about 100,000 of them within 1 day were students from Egypt. And I think it's because my dad's Egyptian. My last name is Egyptian. I'm proud of my heritage, even though I've never been there. And I was really worried about Egypt, especially because in Egypt, you've got over 50 million people that live there, and most of them live along the Nile because there's desert everywhere else. And it's just chaotic if you go outdoors, and it's in close proximity. It's like New York City. It's just kind of a lot of people in a small space. And so that's why Egypt is now my second biggest market. And Dolly's saying, how could you propose your idea to the people having generation mindset gap? Thank you for your time. Yeah. So it's hard to get people to see your perspective that are born in a different generation sometimes. It's and even for me, I look at the younger generation, and I love the younger generation, the millennials, and they inspire me so much. I love them. But there's some generational things I just don't get. Like, why do people walk down the street with their pants hanging down? Their underpants are still on, but they have I don't get it. I'll never understand that. Never. I don't get it. Somebody knows, tell me, please. But in general, when it comes to mindset gap, I think you want to focus on your happiness. And so, for example, I'll make this up. Let's say your parents want you to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. You have to basically appeal to emotion, to their hearts, and say that I'm very passionate about this profession, and here's why. And here's my life business plan for how I'm going to be incredibly successful in this market. And you appeal to emotion, and your mother especially, and your father too, will understand that you're thinking with your heart first. Good morning to you too, Kanal. Bharat is saying, after this lockdown, what will be the change happening in all industries around the globe. Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is people will dip their toes in a little bit. I think a lot of people are still not going to trust the government and go back to work. Like in China, can you really trust the government? But life is not going to be the same for a long, long time. Like people are going to wear masks everywhere for a while until there's a cure. And once there is a cure, then I think we go back to normal. But I think the old days of hugging it out like Ari from Entourage, those days are done for other reasons too. And shaking hands, that's probably done. I think what people are going to do is they'll end up kind of like bowing or waving or whatever it is. Shaking hands is done. And we'll probably adapt, combination of different cultural ways to greet each other, like in Japan. Hajime mashite, and you bow and all that good stuff. But I do think that things will get back to normal eventually. I mean, in the dark ages, when somebody sneezed, it meant you were going to die because of the plague. And that's why people said, God bless you, when you sneezed. And people wore these different masks, which I saw in the video game Assassin's Creed by Ubisoft. Masterpiece. Those masks with those big beaks. Not my big nose, okay? Don't look at my big nose. I know it's big, I get it. But it's aerodynamic, okay? Helps me. But you know what I mean? Like people wore masks, and eventually things got back to normal. But I think if we find a cure that works 100% of the time, then I think we get back to normal, and eventually people shake hands and stuff again. If there's no cure, then things will never be the same. You won't have friction-free commerce. People are still going to be a little bit scared and want to save money. And the biggest telltale of this is the fear factor when the U.S. government or the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 100 basis points, meaning 1% on a Sunday. And on a Monday, the market went down a lot. Right? There's so much fear out there. And you can look at a volatility index, which trades on the CBOE, which is a Chicago exchange, called the VIX, VIX. And that's how you can monitor fear. And the VIX went higher recently than it's ever been before, even higher than in '01 and in '08. So there's still a lot of fear out there. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for people to get back to business as usual. Yeah. But it all comes down to, can we find a cure? Because, if you get the coronavirus and then you recover, you can still get it again. It's not like the flu where people say, I already had it. It can come back to get you again. So God willing, we find a cure soon. But I do think that a lot more stuff will be online, like what we're doing now. And my vision, my passion for education is, and I've been very forward thinking about the future of education for years. But my 50-year plan for education was basically pulled forward 10 years. Like the stuff that's going on right now is not anything I thought we'd see for 10 years. And yes, my business has picked up a lot, which is why I gave away 1 million courses for free in March. And it cost me, like my ratings went down because of it, and I didn't give a damn. And I had to hire more people to answer questions for students of mine that will never pay me. But we're all in this together. And if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. All right. And then Cassandra is saying, I've not enrolled in your MBA because I'm so busy with my kids that are 4 and 12 years old. Oh, enjoy it. Enjoy every second of that. Any advice on how to make time? I paid for many of your courses, not completed yet. I'm awaiting for the shift to illuminate me. Yeah. And so for the MBA degree program, if you've completed courses of mine on Udemy only, you can send in your certificate of completion and get $10 off per course. So if you've taken 27 of my courses and send in 27 certificates of completion, that's 54% off the $499 sticker price. Yeah. But I think the best way to get more stuff done is just to download this. We talked about this a couple minutes ago. Yeah. And just schedule each day, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And Mohadeep is saying, is it possible to create a company or companies if my wife and I live traveling in countries on a constant basis for jobs. She is an English as a second language teacher, and I'm a web developer. I don't see why not. There's nothing holding you back. You don't have to be in the San Francisco Bay Area to start a tech company that dominates. You don't have to be close to Oxford or Cambridge or whatever it is to start. We got to wrap this up. I'm sorry, yes. To create a world-beating company. You can be anywhere. All you need is a laptop and heart. That's it. Yeah. Now, but when it comes to filing taxes, I don't know where your home country is, but you might want to hire a tax lawyer or an accountant in your home country to kind of help you understand the tax implications. Yeah. All right. Stella in the house. Stella, how are you? And you wrote, so glad to be here. I love your positive attitude. It's infectious. And Stella is one of my amazing MBA degree students. Welcome. I'm looking forward to talking to you in a couple of minutes on the MBA office hours too. Yeah. And Nicholas, thank you for that. Nicholas is giving me just details on Kindle RevShare. And then Cassandra's asking about puts, and I explained that before. So a put basically means, because somebody asked a similar question, yeah. A put basically means you buy something for a small amount called a put, and if the stock goes down in a certain amount of time below what's called the strike price, below a certain price level, you make money. But if the stock goes up, you lose just this much. Yeah. And Manchu is saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too. And Fred is saying, I'm currently doing your course on cryptocurrency. Please do you update the course content regularly? I do sometimes. I do sometimes, yeah. But the general framework for how to approach investing in and analyzing cryptocurrencies, that will never change. The way that I analyze companies is always going to be the same. Always, yeah. All right. And Vipul is saying, Chris, and for those of you interested in my cryptocurrency course, it's cost me a fortune to make it, but I'm giving it away for free. So you just go on the web and search for cryptocurrency course on YouTube, actually, cryptocurrency course. And I figured out how to come up first in YouTube without paying for ads. But when it comes up, search for cryptocurrency course. This works in every country in the world. And you'll see my course. And just click on the description and copy and paste that link, and you can take the course for free. Yeah. All right. And Vipul is saying, Chris, what do you think about the balance of art versus science and business, as people don't give importance to art in terms of pursuing a career in the arts? Yeah, I really do subscribe to Steve Jobs' vision of the intersection of business and the liberal arts. With everything I do, I try to be artistic. That's why I've got that up there, that palette there. Everything I do, I try to be creative, and I think it's a noble thing to study arts in general, because it can really broaden your horizons when it comes to you being creative from a social media perspective. Yeah, follow your heart always, and the rest works out great. And Daniel's saying, writing a book could be a double-edged sword if not written carefully in terms of, content, grammar, etc. What steps do you recommend to ensure a high-quality product before distributing it? Yeah, the thing is, you'll never be perfect when it comes to art. As Salvador Dali said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never get it. And so when it comes to social media and doing these webcasts, I'll never be perfect. I make plenty of mistakes. And the same thing with a book. You'll never be perfect. Just get it out there. And don't worry, because Grammarly can help you. Or just Microsoft Word helps you correct grammar. Now I know where commas go. I didn't know before, but Word has taught me. And spell check too, of course. And then Gregory is saying, yes, baseball is one of the greatest sports in the world. I love it. And there's something romantic about baseball too, like baseball movies. I love it. And baseball is a sport where if you're successful 30% of the time, you're a Hall of Famer. Think about that. If you strike out 70% of the time, but you get a hit 3 times out of 10 times. You're amazing. You're amazing. Yeah. And a lot of it is mental. Yeah. Yeah. All right, great. Okay. So I'm so sorry. I know there's tons more questions. Unfortunately, I can't get to them. If you're my MBA degree student, I'll see you at 11:15 a.m. my time today, and you can just copy and paste the questions for MBA office hours. And for those of you that have one-on-ones with me today, I'm looking forward to chatting with you. If you want to learn more about my MBA degree program, just go to my website, HaroonEducation.com. So our call is now over, and my team will actually transcribe this. So within 24 hours, if you come back to this link here, you'll actually see all the questions and at what time they were asked. You can just click and go immediately to me answering the questions. So if you subscribe to my vlog, I will see you mañana, meaning tomorrow in Spanish. Otherwise, God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday forever, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you, and God bless.